The lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on and think
He missed the complete that. He's crazy stuff.
Side Freitas is on the grass on the infield floor. He slides through. He tags Richard Egg.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Patriot Fire Southern 300 from the track Too Tough to Tame. This is round 27 of the Premier Racing League Patriot Fire Cup Series, and you're going to see all 220 laps unfold live here on the Global SimRacing channel. Back in the Palmetto State, I'm Sean Ambrose, and alongside me in the booth is Justin Prince. Behind the scenes, we have our director this evening. I'm Jed Yaman, twisting and tweaking the dials. Our camera sets, as always, are provided by the one and only, the great Dougie Beard. Oh, from Darlington, South Carolina, welcome to another GSRC broadcast. Now it's time to talk with the man who often asks, what about eggs? Justin Prince, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you know about the Lady in Black?
Thank you very much, Sean. As you mentioned, we're at the place Too Tough to Tame here in Darlington, South Carolina, on this 1.66 mile egg-shaped oval, which has plenty of challenges throughout the circuit. Turns 1 and 2 at 25-degree bankings, turns 3 and 4, 23-degree bankings. And of course, this is on top, known as the Retro Stop, but they call this the Lady in Black for a reason. This is one of the most challenging race tracks in NASCAR overall. And to help explain that, let's head to your GSRC lap guide.
Hey guys, this is Bryce Whitson coming to you again from inside the GSRC Chevy SS Class A car here at the famous Darlington Motor Speedway. We're going to go out here and take a couple laps and teach you how to get around this very unique track on the NASCAR circuit. So when we come out of the pits here, we're going to come right up on the track. You got to be real careful on your qual lap because this place is really, really slick when you very first get out here. Your goal here is to get as much momentum up going through turns 3 and 4 as you can, so you want to stay right up close to that wall. You're going to let off a little bit, use a little brake, come right up here and almost scrape that wall with the right side of the car, and then get a nice big run coming off the corner. So here we are going for a qual lap. You're going to want to run it into turn 1 and 2 as hard as you can on the bottom and just let out of the gas and let her drift up to the wall. The sooner you catch it with the throttle, the better off you are. You're going to then take about half throttle through the center. Then when you get straight, get back on her. If you get on it too quick, you're going to spin yourself out. Again, we want to stay right up here next to this wall as close as we can. I got in there a little bit too slow, but not too bad. Again, you're going to get that run coming off the corner. So this track, as I said, it's really unique. It's egg-shaped. Both sides of the track are completely different, as you can see. So as the run goes on, the biggest things that are going to change is how much of that throttle you're able to pick up through 1 and 2 and how hard you're able to drive it into 3 and 4 on the top. Your fuel run's going to last you somewhere between 50 and 60 laps, so you want to keep that in mind as these races can have a tendency to stay green. One other thing, if you want to pass somebody, your best bet is to try and get a run down this front stretch and be on the inside going into this corner. It'll be a little tight, but you can make it happen because you'll get a better run coming off. So here we're going to go down the back stretch and take a quick pit stop and get 4 tires and gas. So here we are. You're going to have to be real careful coming into 3 and 4 to get your pit stop because it's tight to get down there. There's the pits. We're coming down in here, shift down to second gear, 45 miles an hour, and that's some laps around this famous Darlington Motor Speedway.
Okay, that wasn't hard at all. Said no one ever. Darlington, South Carolina. What a track here this evening. Who will win this setup battle tonight on a track where, let's face it, you have to decide which end you want to be fast on and which end do you want to sacrifice on for the sake of that setup. Justin, so much to come this evening, though. 220 laps here this afternoon on track. Have 110 laps to be our American Pool Supply Halfway Award. But before we start talking about what we have on tap this evening, let's take a look at, but let's talk about the point standings right now. I think you've got those ready.
Yes, I do, in fact, as Brian Yazik comes into the race with a 10-point lead over Nicholas Cohan, followed by Tommy Ryan, who is 90 points back at the moment. Thomas George and James Krahula almost attached to the hip, along with Tyler Dalton, as they're spread apart by about 19 points overall, 119 to 138 back throughout the 4th through 6th positions. Following them, Timothy Johnston is currently up there as well, 179 points back, followed by Drew Carroll and Jeff Ward, who had a red-hot summer season. He's rounding out your top 10 at the moment, with Rhett McBride sitting just outside that top 10 with Travis McQuistion in 12th. Of course, this is all heating up towards a very close playoff race because Brian Yazik had a comfortable lead a few weeks back. That closed to as much as 2 points by the time Bristol started off last week. And now, even though he has that gap back up to 10 points, it still is going to be a challenge for him to hold that gap. Sean.
Well, you know what? I think for Brian Yazik, it's all about getting back to winning. He hadn't done that in a while. Now, with the 4 wins that he's got, he's better than everybody except Jeff Ward, who is still 208 points back. For Yazik, though, I think a couple more wins here down the stretch, very important to keep that buffer between him and, let's face it, everybody but Jeff Ward. It's going to be an extremely tough hill for Jeff Ward to climb to get himself into this immediate battle at the top. But, man, if he keeps ripping off wins, it's just a matter of time. The question is, time is his enemy. It's not his friend. For Jeff Ward, he's got to keep winning to have any real chance of making a charge to the top of the points. Obviously, back there in 10th, he's already done fantastic to just get there. So, that being said, you know what? We got a great race on tap this evening. This track, fast, it's slow, it's fast, it's slow. It's a combination of everything. I have always thought of this track as what we call a driver's track. You've really got to have a lot of finesse and some skill to get around here. And like I said, setup, I think, will be key. Now, today, we've got 78 degrees outside, partly cloudy are the conditions here at the track. It's 107 degrees on track. Those first few laps when we get started, I got a feeling it's going to be really, really tough finding your spot on track because of that heat out here on the surface today.
Yeah, because as you're seeing in practice in the background right now, that's why you're seeing cars sliding around, because there's not a lot of grip here in the first place. But this being a driver's track, add on that heat, it's going to be, you're going to have to be holding on for dear life to try and make sure you don't lose it out of 2 or 4 or get a Darlington stripe out of the corners. It is one of the most challenging tracks in all of NASCAR history because of a lot of its things, with it being the egg shape, with it being different bankings, with it being this much challenge. While there has been adjustments over the years, this is still a track that we've seen like in the 1950s, essentially, with how it's set up and how it drives, the challenges you have to go through. You hit the apron here, you'll go sliding. You hit the gas too much, you'll go sliding, or hit the wall and get a stripe and then go sliding. There's a lot of different risks here today. That heat adds on another factor to everyone's panics. So it's just a matter of buckling up, keeping everything together, and making sure you avoid any issues and possibly any cars spinning around out of turns 2 and 4 today, Sean.
And just like the Monster Energy Cup guys are doing this weekend at Darlington here in the Premier Racing League, everybody, not everybody, but a lot of the guys running their alternate throwback schemes. Some of these drivers have been working on those for a couple of months. I even made the joke earlier today that some have been working on them since we left Daytona. But a lot of really cool paint schemes, some good memories out here this evening. Speaking of memories, if anyone can remember when we were back in Indy here just, I don't know, about a month and a half or two ago, and it was a Fast 5 race. Well, guess what? Tonight's a Fast 5 race, and the top 5 from Indy will be your Fast 5 participants tonight. Jeff Ford, Nick Cohan, Thomas George, Tyler Dalton, and Ricky Harden all stand or have an opportunity to win $50 if they can win this race. Now, the top 5 tonight at the finish will set the field for the next event. The next Fast 5 event will be at The Rock, Rockingham. So, going to keep it here in South Carolina for the Fast 5, but Ward, Cohan, George, Dalton, and Harden all with a chance to take James's money tonight. So, somebody needs James keeps having to give that money away, and he gave it away at Indy, and he is probably going to have to give it away again tonight because my woodshed pick is in that 5. We'll talk about that in just a few minutes. As qualifying is now getting underway, Jeff Ward doesn't look like he's wasted any time to get out there and put in a qualifying lap in that Hardee's throwback paint scheme. The Loud Pedal Motorsports driver on track, currently second, has not taken his first lap. It will be his first lap when he comes around. Let's see where that first lap slots in here. Out of 4, down the front stretch across the line, Jeff Ward gonna go to second on the provisional grid.
Actually, it is a dead tie, I think, with Tyler Dalton's first lap time. Both at 26.887. That is going to be in thousandths of a millisecond for that decision, Sean, there, because that is very close.
It certainly is, and I have him tied as well. And Ward, looks like Ward already shuts it down, coming into the pit lane already. And there's Tyler Dalton on track, already completing his second lap. It wasn't even close to where he was there in that first lap. So, wow, we've got a dead heat on the front row right now, and the edge by a very, very small margin going to Tyler Dalton here. So, we'll see how that shakes out. Anybody else can do it here. We got Don Runkle Jr. on track, not running the Pickle Rick machine. He's that's a throwback to Buckshot Jones, if anybody can remember him at the what was a toothpaste scheme? I can't remember the toothpaste company.
Aquafresh.
Or something like that. Aquafresh. There we go. Okay.
Maybe he's looking to clean his competition today. Let's take a look at Lawrence, though.
What's Jonathan got here? Where'd he go? He put him 12th right now on the board. He's got both of his laps in. So things starting to take shape towards the top. Yazik with a really, really fast opening laps. Got him 3rd right now on screen. Justin Rodden, he's got 1 in. Good enough for 17th right now.
Yeah, Brody Hayes just put in a decent time as well, currently 4th on the board and putting in his 2nd lap. Meanwhile, that's a 27 flat, but that's still 2/10 off. He's just going to pull off the track with the decent starting position.
Yeah, Brian Yazik just peeled off. He was good enough for 3rd. Thomas George just rockets up the board on his 2nd lap and goes to 9th. And as I said before, a lot at stake tonight with that Fast 5 on tap. I don't know that starting at the front is a premium. This is a very long race, 220 laps tonight. I'll tell you what is going to be really tricky to a lot of these drivers is pit entry. Already talked to a couple drivers who struggled with that in the Xfinity race Tuesday night, and a couple times missed it and had to literally go all the way back around before they could get back and off the track safely, setting up for the very, very tricky pit entry here.
Yeah, I was just going to say that this is very challenging. If we can get Derek Paulson in cockpit as he zooms by in 3 and 4 here to show, you're seeing that yellow line. You basically have 2 seconds to say, oh, there's the yellow line, I have to dive in. If you miss that and you don't get down there in time because the pit entry is way, way down in there, you're going to be in trouble. Like you just mentioned, you're going to have to go all the way around with a lot of lost time there as Derek Paulson's going to go around here. Ooh. But this is definitely a very hard track for the entry. You'll see with Nick Cohan again what I mean here. that yellow line, and then the wall starts to be made around the beginning or middle of turn 4. It's not where he can just dive right into the pits.
Oh, that's one for Cohan. That gets him up to 10th. Let's see if he's got any more in this Lone Star machine here. That car significant to him. I believe it was one of his first wins in that paint scheme on that car.
Why not throw back to yourself in that case, if that's the case there? So let's see what time he can put here. And it's slower than the first, but he's still in the top 10, like you said, so he's in a decent spot.
Yeah, not a bad effort. There's still a lot of drivers. Not a lot, but there are a few drivers still waiting to come out. Looking to maybe see Devin Cannon come out and take a lap. Maybe, I don't know, maybe Norm Pelletier, Thompson's still there, Brian Mellendorf. Don't know if all these drivers are going to come out and take a lap, but right now we've got 34 registered for this race this evening and about 4 minutes of qualifying left. I think we're going to go ahead and call for the pole lap now. Your NP3 Designs pole winner, we're going to give it to Tyler Dalton tonight. Congratulations, Tyler Dalton. You are the NP3 Designs pole winner. And we're going to take a lap around with him. Tyler in the Davey Allison throwback scheme tonight. Sucker Free Racing across the line and down into turn 1.
Yeah, we're looking at this. He just is able to diamond it through the exit for 2 and just gets a good run heading into that turn 3 segment. Stays up on the high side. Doesn't give himself a Darlington stripe. Cuts to the bottom for the fast exit. And a good lap, Sean, as you'll see as he dives down, trying to cut a couple tenths off.
And he's able to do that with that run right there. What I like what he did is he actually rode that higher line through most of his trip around, and that really, really seemed to give him the momentum off of turn 4 to carry him across for a blazing fast lap of a 26.888, I think is what we saw there on screen. So congratulations to Ty and picking up that MP3 Designs Pole Award. So we're wrapping up practice now. Drivers in their drivers meeting. I was in the woodshed this afternoon, and I'm still going to go for this woodshed pick this week. I said it today. I said it last week. I probably said it a couple weeks ago. Jeff Ward's the man right now. He is on a streak that we've never seen here in the Premier Racing League. And until someone beats him, I'm not convinced by anybody else right now. Give me Jeff Ward tonight. Who do you like, Justin?
I think you chose my pick too because of that red hot streak, but I also like drivers that have a lot on the line tonight. You have Tyler Dalton with those good times. He's running consistent lap times. In fact, they are the only 2 to run laps in the 26.9s in practice and the 26.8s in qualifying. I wouldn't be surprised to see an underdog, though, come up through the field based on how things turn out at the start of this race. But we will have to see overall. I wouldn't be surprised to see a guy like Brody Hayes make his way to the front quickly, or possibly a Tommy Ryan or Nick Cohan to try and catch up to Yazik. A lot of different people to watch as we grid up.
Okay. All right. Now we got our picks out of the way. Why don't we go ahead and head down trackside for the presentation of this nation's anthem. we're back. We're getting ready. Practice officially over. The checkered flag for the practice session is out. Getting ready to grid up here. We'll do pace lap around and we'll set them loose. Now, let's go ahead and clarify something here real quick. Tyler Dalton and Jeff Ward actually tied. So we're going to award the MP3 Designs pole award to both of them this evening. iRacing takes it a little bit deeper there, but here we go. Here's your grid. Jeff Ward going to start on the pole. Tyler Dalton going to start on the front row. Again, both with an amazing time and tie each other. Second row going to be Brian Yazik and his newcomer Brody Hayes. Showing speed again here. Row 3, R.J. Williams and Woodrow Mahan. And we'll go on to row 4. That's going to be Tommy Ryan, Thomas George, and I'm sorry, I skipped Drew Carroll. Drew Carroll in 7th. Tommy Ryan will start 8th. And then row 5 is going to be Thomas George and Nick Cohen. Sorry about that, guys.
And starting in row number 6, right on behind them, Michael Krolbach and James Korhula as they set up in both retro schemes for themselves. Ricky Harden will fall off in row 7 alongside Randy Yoakum. Jonathan Lawrence is on the inside of row 8 with Chris Scala in his number 37 on the outside. In row 9, it's Tim Johnston and Travis McQuistion in a Dave Blaney throwback. And rounding out that top 20 is Adam Littell and Justin Rodden in his Alan Kowicki throwback.
Starting in the blackjack position tonight, going to be Derek Paulson in the number 5. Snoop Doggy Don Runkle starting 22nd this evening. Gregory McDougall 23rd. Brian Mellendorf making his return tonight, starting 24th. Rick Thompson 25th. Brent Puncari 26th. 27th, Matt Murphy. Rich Jetty in the number 77 starting 28th. Andrew Jones 29th tonight and 30th. Going to go to Nicholas Caldwell. Justin, I'll take these last few here. Norm Pelletier going to start 31st. Devin Cannon 32nd. Stephen Herring currently starting 33rd. I don't know if DJ Beverly is still here, but if he is, he'll start 34th.
A very deep field today. We're seeing some drivers who have, at the most, some new drivers that have made starts of the series, but like guys like Beverly have made just 5 starts on the season. You have R.J. Williams up near with a good qualifying lap in the 11th spot. This is just his 4th race on the season. So you're seeing a lot of drivers who have had good runs, especially someone who I've noticed who on the part-time side for the Cup Series, Gregory McDougall. He had a good run at Pocono. So a lot of different drivers have a chance to stand out, especially with some unique paint schemes, as they run right down the backstretch with the fans starting to begin to roar, watching that Days of Thunder car on the inside and that Davey Allison throwback on the outside.
All right, here we go. Pace car coming out of turn 4. Going into turn 3 here. This is where the track really starts to. This is the skinny end of the raceway, but the pace car is off, and they get out of 4. And there goes Jeff Ward, wasting no time. He's on the hammer. Already getting a little separation there from Tyler Dalton. They come across the line, down into turn 1. Already going line and stern back through the top 15. Everybody settling up to the top side. Here comes Tyler Dalton with a run off of 2. But Jeff Ward is away and clear, fighting with the clean air going into turn 3. Setting up to complete this first lap. Everybody getting around here. Everybody, like I said, shuffling in there, in line, and really sticking it up near the wall as they complete the first lap.
A great first lap, in fact, very clean, as you expect. The drivers trying to get to that high side, then diamond it off the corner to the bottom, while also making sure they keep the handling on the cars. And you see some drivers trying to make the effort to get on that bottom and just rise up for the slide job as the caution is out.
Yeah, and it's Devin Cannon in the number 83 Budweiser machine. He has trouble, big trouble, coming off the turn, coming out of turn 2. Bit of a tank slapper there for him, sends him all the way across the track, nose into the inside barrier. And unfortunately, that is probably going to end his night because you don't get fast repairs here. And Devin has got a lot of repair ahead of him there in that Chevrolet, unfortunately. Here's the replay again. You see him knocking that wall down and then across the track. Very lucky We're gonna go. We're gonna go on board here. I think.
Yeah,
Norm Pelletier.
Yeah, you're seeing Norm just getting to the bottom, and then, my goodness, that was very close. In fact, Cannon, you can see getting his Darlington stripe and spin out there. Like I mentioned, that is a very hard part of the track. A lot of drivers were struggling with that in practice for tonight's event, and hitting that safer barrier on the exit. And that is exactly what happens when you hit that said wall. And a lot of drivers are already going in with tires being a major importance here.
Yeah, several guys towards the back of the field. I think midfield and back decided to come in. They were led down by Rick Thompson, Randy Yoakum. But your top 10 wasn't having any of it. They all stay out on track. Top 16, let's see, top 16, top 18, it looks like all stay on track. So we got a little bit of fight there coming off pit road, and the 8 gets across first, Randy Yoakum. And that is a direct throwback right there. Randy Yoakum was making a comment in the pre-race there. He's running that Dale Jr. scheme that he ran when he first came into the Cup Series. And well, I'll tell you what, as far as replicas go, it doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah, of course, there are a few different numbers in iRacing that replicate the real number drivers. Dale Jr.'s number is one of those, which is why it's just about dead on. You also have a few other close ones. For example, Dale Sr.'s number is in there, Jeff Gordon's number. There's a few different examples, but it helps to add to that realism, as we're already up to 1 to go already. We're preparing to double file at the very least.
Yeah, lights are out on the pace car. Now, they are running the iRacing fixed setup for Darlington. They had to make one adjustment, and that was in the gearing. Decided to go ahead and take it up just a little bit. They were hitting the rev limiter coming down that back straight into turn 3, and they were cooking the motors just a bit. So decided to back off that just a bit. And right now we get ready to get restarted. It's Jeff Ward going to start to the inside, Tyler Dalton on the outside, Brody Hayes and Brian Yazik just behind them to get restarted here. Now the pace car pulls off early, so we are ready to go, and so is it. And Jeff Ward does it again. He gets right on the hammer as soon as that car pulls off in front of him and really opens it up on that restart. As we just dropped the green flag, Jeff Ward screams across the start-finish line, still leading this race, and Tyler Dalton finds himself still in chase mode. Already some give and take going on there early in the race. Drivers coming on and making their presence known and appreciation being shown there on the radio. Boy, look at that jump Ward's gotten out to. It's a good one. Tyler Dalton battling with Brody Hayes and Brian Yazik back there in the 55 and 4th.
Yeah, clean air really helps these cars gain speed and gain an advantage. And Jeff Ward is taking that set advantage, as you're seeing, as they all come out of 2, all line astern, just about through the entire field. Justin Rodden almost hit the wall for his Darlington stripe. But my goodness, we are just running fairly clean right now. You can see Justin Rodden's falling off in the back, for example. Someone else dropping back in that field was someone that we mentioned, Randy Yoakum. He's already to the back of the lead lap.
Yazik just picks up the position on Brody Hayes. Is the car coming off? Oh, well, there's Randy Yoakum coming off track already.
Yep, there's his Darlington stripe. It looks like he might actually have some required repairs, hence why he's down there already. But Brian Yazik going to have to keep some distance here.
Yeah, Yazik did a good job to get around Brody Hayes, and now he's got to hang on to that spot. Oh, just behind him, Woodrow Mahan getting passed by R.J. Williams. Watch out for R.J. He has been charging since the race started, and that caution flag slowed him down, but he's back on the attack now. Woody there holding on in 6th. Your top 7 unchanged right now, all back in their positions where they started. Oh, and Yazik's around.
And that's Yazik around.
Yazik is around out of 4. Does anybody hit him? Let's look at the replay here. Yazik up there by the wall. Where does it go wrong? Oh, it looks like it just broke loose on him there out of the turn. Really, really good.
Yeah, I was just going to say, because he had been struggling a little bit with the handling with this car. We're taking on board with Tommy Ryan, as you're seeing here. He just got snapped loose, and nothing you can do there. Tommy Ryan decided to go to the bottom, but Yazik is lucky. He's got no damage whatsoever. So at least there's a positive with that. Just has to get tires. The negative, he's in 29th.
Yeah, some angry Goodyears right now. That's basically what he's left with. So good on Yazik to minimize the damage there, which there is no damage except for the positions lost. But now we're going to see more drivers make their way into the pit. In fact, being led by Mr. Jeff Ward. So everybody up front saying, you know what, 10 laps, that's good enough. Let's go ahead and bring her in. Chris Scala going to stay on track and try and take advantage of him coming in last time, see what he can do with some tires that are a little bit older. Tires go away very quickly on this track, and they're going to go away even quicker today with 107 degrees. Time now to start seeing if those types of gambles pay off, getting off cycle with everybody else. Ward going to pull in. Tyler Dalton right behind him. We see everybody going up. I think you'll see everybody take 4. I don't think anybody's going to be messing with 2 here. Yeah, and your leader's going up on the left sides as well. And Ward's going to get away. Good job there by everybody. Love this camera angle, watching him drag off of pit lane there. Ricky Harden was in a fight getting off the pit road there with that Tim Johnson, I think it was, he was battling with.
Yeah, you mentioned with the tires, they actually discussed it in the driver's meeting as well, advising people if they decide to stay out or take 2 tires, go at your own risk because of the tire spin. Rich Jetty, you can see, is going in. He was one of the 2 who did not follow the line in. The only one staying out at the moment, and this is going to be interesting if it ends up being this, is Chris Scala. So this could be a good example of what could happen in later on in the race, because these are 12-lap-old tires on Chris Scala. If he decides to stay out, this is going to be very interesting.
Yeah, well, we'll see. If you're going to experiment with those types of things early in the race right now is certainly the best time to do it. You give yourself plenty of time to recover from that if it winds up not being a good idea. But Scala in the Fred J. Moore Plumbing Skull Bandit, looking to maybe just lead some laps, get a feel for what it's like to be up front here, and maybe planning for the future, seeing if maybe this is the type of move that could work out for him in the last 30 laps of the race.
Yeah, and this is something, like I said, something everyone else is going to be watching for in case they want to do the same strategy later on. If it doesn't work out, or Chris Scala ends up getting loose, for example, then they're just going to make a note of it and put it into their notepads. If he actually is able to keep a lead with a quick caution or in good track position at least, then that's going to be something a lot of drivers might be doing from here on out. So it's going to be a coin toss, really, with 2 laps, 2 to go, 1 to go, actually, before this restart. So we'll see how Scala matches up with the fresh tires of Jeff Ward and everyone else, and those angry beasts that are known as the Gen 6 cars.
All right, so early on, the track Too Tough to Tame has claimed a few victims. Randy Yoakum taking his car behind the wall, so is Adam Blattel. Brian Mellendorf, Devin Cannon, and DJ Beverly never actually got started. I think he got disconnected early. So, again, a few casualties here. 4 cars already behind the wall, but we get restarted here. We got a race on our hands here, folks. Chris Scala going to get to start him from the point. Jeff Ward will be right there on the outside. Let's see how Ward gets restarted from up top. I have a feeling he might have been looking to get there anyway, so we'll see how this works out for him. But Tyler Dalton's still on that second row. Brody Hayes sitting there in 4th. Pace car is off. Scala really going to slow him down. Now he goes. Jeff Ward a little bit slow to restart there. Scala off to a good start. Tyler Dalton, Brody Hayes side by side across the line. A lot of cars still going side by side down into one. Brody Hayes gets shuffled out. They try and make it 3 wide back there. Ooh, Drew Carroll just got through. Ward already making his way around.
Yeah, that was a very quick move for Ward, immediately getting back up front, but like you mentioned, it was almost 3 wide into 1 and 2. A car blinked there. I believe it was Carroll who blinked, which caused them to almost warp through each other. That could have been a disaster right there, especially after the restart, as Brody Hayes is now going to have to work his way back into that set position here, trying to get 4th right here as everyone's lying astern right behind him.
Chris Scala getting passed by Tyler Dalton up there. Those Scala and those tires are already starting to show that, you could definitely be overtaken by the new tires, and here comes the rest of the field behind him. Drew Carroll, Brody Hayes, RJ Williams all look to come through. Ward again up to the lead. Tyler Dalton following him. Scala falling off pretty quick here.
Yeah, he's way off the pace on his exits compared to the rest of the cars on fresh tires. He's going to have to baby it, of course, with the worn tires, and that is hurting him big time. As you can see with the speed advantage, it's as much as 7-8 miles per hour down the straightaways. That's why you see Drew Carroll zooming by as he's gonna, oh my goodness, that was close.
Yeah, Drew Carroll with a bit of a hip check there on Scala. Brody Hayes able to take advantage of it and get around. Now the 51, watch the 51, because the 51 has already had what seems to be an intermittent connection issue, and boy, if that car is flashing in and out, that will be a tough situation for the drivers around him. Here comes the 24, Thomas George, picking up the 51 as they now try and get around Chris Scala down into turn 1.
I just want to mention something real quick as we were showing that another person got a Darlington stripe. Jonathan Lawrence, just out of 2 on the previous lap. That almost wrecked 5 cars when he bounced off the wall. Now it's the matter of making sure you hang on for even the fresh car tires. That's why you're seeing the chaos up front, trying to all get by Scala as he's already dropped to 8th. Sean, look at this. This is about to be a pass for 8th right here as Mohan, is on the back bumper and should zoom by, depending on the exit, out of into 3.
Just like the golfer, Justin. Just like the golfer. Mahan. I used to call him Mahan. He's like, no, it's just like the golfer. I'm like, really? Okay, cool. I know that.
And with the struggles continuing now, Norman Peltier is now dead last as he's fallen way off the pace, getting too low, in fact. So multiple drivers struggling throughout this field, as this is just, like you mentioned, a driver's track. Very difficult. Everyone's tires already starting to become a factor with how people are handling here. You can see Michael Krolbach. He's got a decent line here. You can see Cohen's trying to get to the bottom to try and get a better run on Mahan for that 9th spot.
Yeah, just going back to the field here, drivers struggling just a bit. Derek Paulson just got a little bit of stripe on his car. Snoop Doggy Don Runkle just put it in the wall. I think a couple times I've seen him go up there. This little group here struggling right now to just stay on track. And again, Runkle with his troubles. Matt Murphy back there following. There is the Ford credit number 23 of Nicholas Caldwell, reminiscent of the old Dale Jarrett paint scheme.
Yeah, that's the paint scheme that Danica Patrick going to be running this weekend as well. So a nice looking scheme overall, but of course, there's a lot of action on this track. It's not just about the paint schemes this week. It's about the competition. As Don Runkle Jr. is now going to have to drop back. You can see he's going to have to fight to hold on just a 22nd right now on Matt Murphy.
Yeah, and a couple of your Fast 5 contenders right here at the front of the race right now. Jeff Ward, Tyler Dalton, again, looking to take James's money tonight. $50 at stake. Right now, they are good partners and hanging on to 3rd place. Drew Carroll, we can't forget about him. Up 4 spots right now, having a solid run. Not really having a fight with anybody because Brody Hayes seems to have dropped off just a bit. And Thomas George not able to really make anything up on Brody yet. So, and the 51 seems to have slowed down. RJ Williams is really coming through the field, but seems to have backed off just a bit. So the leaders, the top 5, have all seemed really, the top 6, actually top 7, Tommy Ryan included, all starting to kind of separate from everybody. And as I say that, the yellow is back out, and we've got a big one on the backstretch. Oh boy.
That is Peltier and Gregory McDougall who went around. Let's see what happened here.
Well, it looks like it might have started with Rich Jetty, actually, making some contact here. Jetty there in the 77. He gets a run on the 42.
Oh, and that's where it started. The Darlington stripe out of 2 with Murphy, and that bottled him up, and that McDougall went around, and then it just ended the race for a couple others. Oh, man.
Yeah. Boy, the one got caught up in that. And, man, tough break there at the end. Who was that there at the end? That was the 56. Yeah, Norman Pelletier. That's who we're on board right there with, Norman Pelletier.
Yeah.
You know, he almost avoids that, and because he didn't, loses the whole car. That contact knocks the front end off and leaves that car just in a smoking heap of mess. Speaking of smoking heap of mess, here comes the field, smoking the brakes down onto the pit lane. Everybody coming in for a change of tires. I have a feeling you'll see Chris Scala in here. He is indeed in. Probably not going to try that again. Lesson learned probably for most of this field. But here come the pit stops. 28 laps. Still very early on in this race. Trying to get to that halfway point. 110 for the American Pool Supply Halfway Award. Who is it going to be tonight? Jeff Ward certainly off to a great start. So is Tyler Dalton. Who's going to get away first? Well, it's going to be your leader, Jeff Ward. Tyler Dalton going to win that battle with Brody Hayes. Get out in front of him. Hayes going to get out in front of Drew Carroll. Just barely.
Yeah, the thing you mentioned with Scala, I think some of the logic too was try and get himself up this grid. That's why he had stayed out, I think, as well that last time around. Even with the amount of positions he dropped, he's still in 13th with fresh tires now. If he can keep the same pace, he might be able to work his way back to the top 10 in better position, because he started this race overall for him all the way back in 16th. So he's gained at least a few spots based on that strategy alone. If it came a few laps earlier, he'd be in the top 10 right now. So it almost worked out.
And it does look like the Captain Motorsports drivers pretty much went with the same strategy, because Brent Buncari, his teammate, just completing his second stop, comes out in 15th. Buncari started back in 26th, so now finds himself riding in 15th. So the teammates there will be starting nose to tail on the restart, and that's probably a situation they probably look to get to. So good job by them, and good job by the rest of this field right now. Is 29 laps, working 29 here, and Jeff Ward still your leader. Tyler Dalton, the front row of this race, still intact. The cream is definitely floating at the top right now. Here, just early on in this race, like I said, what we're really looking forward to getting to right now is, of course, getting to that 110 lap mark where we'll award the halfway award there for American Pool Supply. Now, do we have a lucky dog yet in getting a wave around? We don't have a lucky dog yet, because the cars that have had trouble are still in the pit. And that's another thing here about Darlington. These walls, they bring a lot of pain. They mangle the car in such a way that getting back on track is impossible. And listen, if you don't have a good handling car here and you're fighting one all night, the chances are it's going to result in another accident that's probably going to end your night. And so far, most everybody that's gone to the pit for repair is still sitting there. A couple of drivers, Matt Murphy, Andrew Jones, able to effect some repair on those cars, but still not driving well-handling machines. They could continue to have trouble. Rich Jetty, Steve Herring, still on track. They've managed to get him back out. But here we go, the pace car, bringing him around out of turn 2. We'll get lined up and get ready to go here on lap 30. We'll come across at 31. And it'll be time to go, go, go.
Go, 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 and make sure you don't go, go, go into the wall because, as you mentioned, you don't want to affect the damage. You don't want to especially hit that safer barrier, which leaves even less room on the track. As here we go, Sean.
Pace car is off, and boy, Tyler Dalton gets a jump and then has to back out of it. Backs up the field behind him. Oh, man. Wow. What a restart. Not a lot of drivers ready for that. Several caught out. Brody Hayes gets a run on Jeff Ward. Thomas George was able to get away. So was Tommy Ryan. Wow.
Yeah, I'm speechless about that start, too, because Dalton tried to make the jump. Drew Carroll and Dalton, in fact, most of the top side, lost a heck of a lot of spots because of that. Now, that got Kroll back into the top 5, and now it helped get Drew Carroll by of Tyler Dalton. Because of one trying to jump the start, he falls all the way back to 7th. This is going to affect the entire grid, basically, right now with how this is organized.
Yeah, and the Cubs is out. Wow.
And that is Nicholas Caldwell around and Rich Jetty as well.
Boy, it was actually Caldwell gets around, but it was Don Runkle that had trouble coming off of turn 2 down on the apron. You'll see the 0 there. He's going to bounce off the bottom of the apron, come back up the track. Jetty has to make an evasive move, misses him, but hits the wall in the process. Ouch. Jetty was already struggling with a nil-handling car. On board here with Matt Murphy. He's just behind that. You see Don Runkle spinning there down off the bottom. Jetty makes the contact with the wall, and Matt Murphy keeps going. Just avoids that one. Man, I'm afraid that might be the end for Rich Jetty. Again, that car was already struggling, and now he's in the pit, and car is a mess. I see cars in the back coming in for a pit stop. Your leaders all staying out.
Yeah, Brian Yazik leading that charge, in fact, as Yazik had worked his way back to 16th after spinning early on in this race. He's going to get some fresh tires. So the points leader not having a great points day, but at the very least, he would still be in the points lead if the race finished now, but we do have a lucky dog.
We do. And that's going to be the number 42 of Matt Murphy, your Coastal Safety Auditor's lucky dog. Good job there, Brutus. Good dog. Good to see Brutus here on a Thursday night. And with that, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back on the Global Sim Racing channel here from Darlington Raceway. We have returned here to the Patriot Fire Southern 300 from Darlington Raceway. Right here in the Palmetto State, Jeff Ward, still your leader. The lights are out in the pace car as we pace around. And that Ford Mustang gets ready to peel off the track once again. Look for Ward to get a big restart here. Brody Hayes lined up on his outside for the first time tonight. Thomas, George, Tommy Ryan right behind them. Here we go. Pace car is off and Jeff Ward is away. All according to plan there for Ward. Brody Hayes slips in behind. And there's the battle back there for third, fourth place. Got Tommy Ryan getting a run there up top. Thomas George, though, still hanging on the bottom. Now Ryan falls back to Krobach. Krobach looks to settle in, and they all look to settle in. Oh, and trouble off of 3. Tim Johnston with big trouble off of turn 2.
Oh, and that's going to be a big one. Cars are flipping around. Yeah, Brian Yazik already telling us to check that out, in fact, because Tim Johnston hit the safety barrier wall out of 2. And then Calamity Corner started. The Lady in Black took a few different drivers. Justin Rodden with them. Brian Yazik a side swipe. A couple flipping, including Andrew Jones. Travis McQuistion's engine's blown. My goodness, Sean. My goodness.
Yeah, McQuistion took a really, really hard hit. Chris Scala wasn't really lucky to get away from that. Boy, the 59 really took a hard hit there. That is a tough break there for Andrew Jones, who was just getting back into this race. Had already found some trouble earlier in the evening. There's Scala getting by it as we ride on board with him. Boy, that was a mess. As we go back live. Okay, well, that didn't take long. And we're back. And let's see who, we've got several takers for the pits there. Tim Johnston on back in the pit. I think if you were close to that incident or near it somewhere, you decided to go ahead and come in and maybe go ahead and get everything right with your car. Jeff Ward, though, it's easy to be the leader when these cautions keep coming out. We come around, we're going to start lap 40 here. Here's a good race off of pit road. And Jeff Ward, you see him up there at the front of the field, followed by that still unsponsored car of Brody Hayes. We couldn't even get him a sponsor for the throwback race here at Darlington. We gotta get Brody hooked up with a sponsor. Maybe he's waiting until next season. I'm not sure, but I'd say he's a driver fast enough that should have a sponsor. Here is our Coastal Safety Auditors, Lucky Dog. The number 66, Jonathan Lawrence, picking it up. You can see that car already had a bit of a tussle with the Lady in Black. And but he's got her out there. He's still running. That car is not in as bad a shape as some of them we've seen already this evening. That throwback, that number 66 throwback, that was a... help me out here, Justin. That was a WWE throwback car from like the early 2000s, I think that somebody drove.
Yeah, I'm not sure the exact driver, to be honest, either, but I do know the event it's for is 2000 based on the hood. You can see it's a WF, which is the World Wrestling Federation, which it was their previous name car with the Attitude branding and whatnot. So he's just sponsoring basically SummerSlam back from 2000, I think, really, because why not? Well,
yeah, it was the Hermes Sadler throwback car that he's throwing back to Hermes Sadler, who ran this car in a 2000 Bristol Busch race. That was it. I remembered seeing him post that one earlier. So, all right, here we go. Things heating up here at Darlington. Everybody's still pacing around. We've done a little bit of that this evening, but hopefully here, sometimes when we see the cautions come out and they breed other cautions, we start to think, okay, when is this race going to get to a nice green flag run? This could get here because they've started to thin out the field just a bit. The lights are out of the pace car. We get ready to do this again. I like our chances here to get a great restart and maybe get down to some racing. Let's see. We've got 19 cars still on the lead lap. Stephen Herring still sitting in the pit. Now he's out.
Yes, Stephen Herring at the back of that lead lap with 19. There's still a few other drivers still in the race. Tim Johnston, Derek Paulson, Brett Pocari still in this. Andrew Jones, he's getting his repairs. Johnson Lawrence, of course, is still out on that track. So there are still a few drivers out there, despite their damages and their luck. A lot of them are going to look to turn it around. A lot of them are going to try and make sure the thunder is taken away from the sunny days performance of Ward.
All right, here we go. Base car's in. Jeff Ward's away. He's got control of it again. Jeff off to a great start. Brody Hayes slotting in right behind him. Brody off to a good start. Tommy Ryan getting a good run up top. Thomas George, he's trying to keep it even with him. He can't. The momentum's up top. Ryan able to get out in front of him. James Carula looks to be struggling on the inside back there on this restart. The Ford down on the bottom all by himself. He's trying to get a run down there right up against Nick Cohan. Finally slots in front of Woodrow Mahan. Mahan looking to take that spot back as they head down into turn one. No, he's going to let James keep it. On board with Brian. We were on board with Brian Yazek there in the HPP simulations. Ford.
Yeah, and we got an update for James Carolla, in fact. Apparently, that's his way of being nice, was dropping back, but everyone's already forgiven him, especially for some nice spots, as he's just sitting outside that top 10, as Brody Hayes. He's closing the door on Ward for the first time today. He might be able to challenge here for the lead.
Yeah, Brody looking really good here. Again, he's had a really magnificent start to this race. Seems to be really hooked up here at Darlington. Tommy Ryan now in this picture, though. Tommy with a really, really good restart. Tommy started just outside the top 10 there in 11th. Kept himself up here for the whole race. That's what we want to see here. We've got everybody line the stern here on track. Settling in here for a long race ahead.
Like we said, it's a 220-lap race. You got to make sure you have patience and make sure that patience doesn't run out by lap 50 at this point. That's what we're seeing a lot of drivers having work so far, and that's why you're seeing contenders like Tommy Ryan already early on, Thomas George following behind here, but Jeff Ward, still that man to follow with the lines he's been running. He is still running about a tenth faster. The only car that's keeping up with that pace compared to the last lap, Thomas George, at the moment, as we see them come across that start and finish line once again.
Yeah, this is a good look at the type of race we should probably see here over the next 150 laps or so. Just settled in, focused on the track, and really just trying to maintain a good position. It's okay to race a little bit, but don't race and put yourself at risk here. There's still so much racing to do. The top 9 or 10 have really started to kind of separate themselves from the rest of the field. You basically have a group of haves and a group of have-nots, and the have-nots are, well, they're doing the same thing right now. They're trying to just keep in a good rhythm back here, keep these cars on track, and find a way to continue to fight for this. And obviously, cars at the back of the pack right now dealing with some damage. Not everybody, but we've got several cars that are a little bit off pace, which means, yeah, our leaders are probably going to go ahead and catch up here in pretty quick fashion. But to do that, we've got to keep running green. And right now, don't look too soon, but we are having a pretty good green flag, probably one of the longest ones we've had so far here tonight. And now Brody Hayes right up on the bumper. Look at this on screen, almost giving him a little bit of a hey, how you doing? But Brody Hayes right there running with Jeff Ward. Brody Hayes looking like a strong contender tonight here at Darlington Raceway.
Yeah, he's having consistent lines right now. It's just the exits compared to Ward on some of these corners that he's been falling back on in terms of time. but he has been having, I think, the more consistent line because Ward's lap times are starting to drop compared to the cars right behind him, which is going to be very hard to hold off eventually as these tires start to wear down more and more. Like you said, it's about patience. We haven't seen some patience in some areas, to be honest, because a few laps ago, Michael Krobach blocked Drew Carroll all the way down towards the bottom part of the racetrack, which has now led to Carroll now just zooming by Krobach right now, in fact, as he lets him right on by. That's exactly as well something you have to do, give and take. If you know you have a slower car, let them on by, because you don't want to end up holding them up and causing a big wreck right behind you. Yeah, and you're... Yep, sorry about that. I was just about to say Tyler Dalton as well. He's going to get up to 6 now because of Krobach. He's off pace all of a sudden.
Yeah, and Tyler Dalton, ever since he struggled on that, not the last restart, but on the last restart, he's had trouble making those spots up, and he's now slowly starting to do that. And Tyler trying to get himself back in this race again. Can't say it enough. Tyler Dalton, one of those contenders for this Fast Five, $50 this evening.
Speaking of Fast Five, Nick Cohan just about had a fast track to the garage area as he got loose off of turn 2, letting Brian Yazik and Woodrow Mahan right on by, losing 2 spots. Let's take a look at your GSRC replay. As that, you can see Cohan just decided, I'm going to go down to the apron. For whatever reason, that got him a bit squirrely, lost him a bunch of time, and now, with some damage as well, he is losing a ton of time because of one mistake. As you can see, he actually hit the wall, then went to the apron, pardon me there, which let the 2 on by. So that's the risk of having a Darlington stripe here, or bouncing off these walls, is exactly that. With that ton of damage too, that's going to really slow him down too, as James Grahula is catching right on back to him.
Yeah, Grahula trying to hold off Chris Scala. Chris Scala's got fresher tires by about 6 laps. Not much of a factor, it doesn't seem to right now. Scala still in chase mode there in that Skull Bandit. James Grahula still has the edge there. Nick Cohan holding on to that 12th spot. So a nice little battle going here back in the mid-pack. And I say mid-pack because we have had a fair amount of attrition here early in the race. It has a lot of cars in the garage right now. I'm looking at 21 cars on track. Currently, we started, I think, with 35. Actually made it off the grid, so as you can see, it's been a little rough. The damage is extreme here. It's really hard to recover from a hard hit here at Darlington Raceway.
It's 33 who started off the race, to correct you there, Sean, but we are seeing a lot of that attrition. As you said, we are down to just 21 cars, running around on this track already. As a look at this with Thomas George, as he's just going to zoom by Tommy Ryan, letting by some of the faster cars. There's that give and take, as we mentioned. So Thomas George, he's having a great run too here today in his Pepsi throwback car, as he's going to bring along Mr. Winston Drew Carroll for that battle.
Brody Hayes still hanging on to that second spot, but here comes Thomas George. George looks to set him up as they come down the front stretch. The Toyota looks vulnerable now all of a sudden. Brody was running up there with Ward. Ward's starting to open up things, and boy, George with a really, really good run off the top of turn 2. He looks to the inside, down the back stretch. Drew Carroll doing the same thing behind him. Thomas George, another Fast Five contender this evening, and he finally picks up that spot up to second for him. Brody Hayes slips back to third.
You have to wonder if Brody wore on his tires. That's why he got the good start, really, to keep up with Ward at the beginning, because of the tire wear. If you overdrive the car, you lose a lot of grip fast, and now you can see Brody Hayes has seen those consequences as he falls right to fourth, with Ryan as well as a bunch of air drivers coming up on him quickly. So he is just off that pace. You're seeing the times right now. He's 2-3 tenths of a second slower than everyone around him right now at the very least, all because of worn tires on this green flag run.
And that 24 Thomas George actually picking up speed right now. He was the fastest car on track last time around. Ward will be looking over his shoulder quickly here. Brody Hayes back there looking to lose another spot to big trouble with Michael Krobach. Down the front stretch, the caution is out. Oh, it looks like Krobach had trouble coming off of turn 4, and we're going to see it here on the replay. Just going to have a handful of wheel coming off there, was not able to save it. What he's able to do is keep it off the wall, and everybody is able to get by him. So very, very fortunate situation there for Krobach. Does not chew up the car. That's probably not a bad spot for a caution to come out, as you're going to probably see the entire field come down for a pit stop. That was our longest run of the night so far, and yeah, this is probably not a bad spot to get that caution. Everybody will get a guilt-free caution and pit stop in here. It's going to be a mad scramble on pit road when we get back around.
Yeah, I was going to say that might be something that Jeff Ward is happy about, actually, because his times were not as fast on the worn tires as Thomas George. And Thomas George had been setting down that loud pedal. Now, Ward's breathing a sigh of relief that it gets to reset itself all over again with the fresher tires. And yeah, this is, like you mentioned, a great time for a pit stop. Now with the car starting to wear out, Brody Hayes is probably screaming for joy with the pit stop. Just a lot to think about here as Thomas George and Jeff Ward pull into their stalls.
Let's see if Jeff Ward can win another pit stop here. Into his box, comes to a perfect stop. Look for all 4 tires, full tank of fuel. Yazik gets in sideways. Going to be tough to turn out from right there. Here comes the 24 Thomas George. Not going to be enough to beat Jeff Ward out. Looks like Brody Hayes got out just in front of Drew Carroll. No, he did not. Drew Carroll gets that spot from Brody Hayes. So it's a lot of fun there. The lucky dog here, Tim Johnston. The Hensley Motorsports Chevrolet. It's our coastal safety auditors. Lucky dog, good boy Brutus. Tim Johnston, coastal safety auditors. Your one-stop shop for fire, life, and safety equipment. Good job there, Tim, staying in this thing.
Yeah, he's doing a good job keeping in this. He's still about 5 laps down, give or take, but he might be able to work his way back to the lead lap with some luck, so we'll have to see how things turn out with our lucky dog.
You just got to stay out there. You just got to keep digging. You know, I don't think this is the last caution of the night. So if he can keep him up there in that position, he leaves himself eligible to get it again. Now comes in, takes his pit stop. But you know what? Thomas George is going to restart this race from the front. Thomas had really been coming to the field pretty well. Certainly liked the way his car was looking. He'll get to start on that front row there with Jeff Ward. If he can get a run with Ward to get this restart going, boy, what a great opportunity for Thomas George to be in a good position here at the halfway point. Now, when is the halfway point? Well, it's 110. Lap 110, the completion of lap 110 is the halfway point, and now we sit just 45 laps away from that. We're going to be sweating that here pretty soon. A lot of these drivers are going to be sweating that, looking to get that halfway bonus. So important here in this season, especially for a driver like Jeff Ward, who is so far back down there in 10th and needs wins, bonus points, and all the help he can get to the top of this championship. He has positioned himself well here early in this race, but the lights are out on the pace car, and when that happens, that means we are ready to go back to a racing condition here at Darlington Raceway. Darlington, another one of those raceways, not speedways. Interesting little tidbit about Darlington, but this is as old school as it gets here. Track built back in the 50s. They broke ground in 1949 and they opened it in 1950. Harold Brasington, the architect of this great facility, was a good friend of Big Bill France, and they had done some racing together, and he got out of racing, got into the construction business and built this gem. And here we go, the pace car ready to peel off now. It is off, and Jeff Ward is away. Thomas George gets a decent start with him there, not bad. Got to get moving. That row behind him starting to move. Watch out, here comes Brody Hayes. 87 Drew Carroll going to let off just a bit going into turn 1. Nice break at the front. Everybody shuffling in behind. Screaming down the backstretch. That's the way you do it right there. 21 Gen 6 cars coming off of turn 3 and through turn 4. Getting in another lap here. We start lap 68.
Yeah, clean start. Nice, clean racing. But you have to make sure, if you're a driver, you don't hit these walls again and again and again. It's about hitting those marks once again, keeping the consistency. And Brian Yazik, one of those drivers who has improved throughout the race after spinning out in the top 5 before, as RJ Williams did a little bit of a side swipe a bit out on the exit. But man, a lot of different drivers having the chance to run very well. Brody Hayes, now on those fresh tires, now he's running great, as Justin Rodden just bounced off the wall, Sean.
And Brody Hayes had a close moment here just about a lap ago. And that has allowed Drew Carroll to get right up on the bumper of that Toyota. Carroll looking to pick up another spot here early.
Got a few different drivers.
Oh, Brody up in that wall again. Boy, that really helps out Drew Carroll. Carroll going to get him here going into turn 3, going to take it easy. Wow. Hayes looks to try and cross him over. Nothing doing. It's now Tommy Ryan left back there to deal with him. Just behind them, Tyler Dalton and RJ Williams just fender to fender. Yeah, boy, it's Tyler Dalton that kind of slips up, gets up into the wall there. RJ Williams going to get away and continue to pick spots back up as he tries to march back through the field after getting shuffled back just a bit.
Yeah, right now a lot of different shuffling, as you said. James Krahula now just rounding out that top 10. Michael Krolbach has very quickly worked his way back up to 12th after his spin in that Jeffrey Bodine retro paint scheme from 1996. He's able to keep up right now, but a lot of different drivers doing good, and a lot of different beat-up cars, because if you take a Woodrow Mahana's right side as Krolbach's going to zoom by, it's completely destroyed right now.
Boy, and something we missed was Don Runkle having more trouble. Matt Murphy trying to get around him. Matt not able to do it successfully. He goes down to the infield, and I believe Matt is in the back in the pit. But Don Runkle just chewing up that Toyota this evening. Back up front here, though. Boy, look at Thomas George trying to make a run here at Jeff Ward. 10 laps into this run, Thomas George is like, hey, you know what? I think I'd like to get up here and experience the adventure from the front. He's got there, but can he get around him? On board with Thomas George here. He's got the line, just doesn't have the speed right now to get around. Doesn't seem like the toe playing a very big factor here at Darlington this evening. But George again with a solid run. Drew Carroll just behind. Brody Hayes still hanging on to 4th place. Brody struggled on that restart, but has kind of gotten things back together and looks good right now. Tommy Ryan comfortably sitting in 5th. RJ Williams starting to crawl very slowly back up to the bumper. Tommy Ryan not there yet. Looking to get there.
Yeah, somebody who's making big moves as you're going through this grid. Brian Yazik has worked his way now back to 7th after that spin at the start of the race. He's just able to dial in. Now Tyler Dalton, though, is going backwards as he is right now trying to hold off Ricky Harden, as Ricky Harden's going to bounce off the wall as Krolbach's going to zip on by. That was close for Krolbach and for as well. Oh, Harden there. That could have been a major disaster in that situation, but you can see everyone's just settling in. It is a single groove track, so it's going to be hard to make passes once we get going. It's one of those tracks like Bristol where it's hard to pass and you have to time it out right for multiple laps. And that's what you're seeing a lot of drivers doing, especially Thomas George. Since you know you're seeing those times, they are dead even just about.
Yeah, I was really happy to see Ricky save it back there. Ricky was one of my favorite paint schemes in the field, but up front here, the battle is real, man. Thomas George still trying to dig this out, trying to get around that Hardy's machine of Jeff Ward. Just not there yet. Plenty of time here to go. But we are closing in on that halfway battle. And we talked about the points and how critical they are to these drivers. Thomas George, certainly, this is, he finds himself within the top 10 of the points chase. And what a great way to pick up more points to find yourself here so close to the leader as we approach the halfway point at lap 110. I honestly think they can make it on fuel. Don't remember exactly what the window here is at Darlington. It'll be really, really close. I honestly, though, I'd be shocked if we didn't get another caution before we get to that halfway point. I'd be pleasantly surprised, not shocked. This race, albeit we've had a few cautions to get started, these last couple of runs have been really, really good, Justin. And as we go on board with James Carula, it's been a bit of a tough sled here for him this evening. Looking up there at Ricky Harden, James looking for more this evening. And it's like I said, I know he had I know personally that he had a bit of a rough day, lots of traffic in his area, and was scrambling to make it on time. But James now starting to pick things up just a bit as he gets around Ricky Harden, finally pulls off that move. James now finds himself into the top 10.
Yeah, that's in part Ricky Harden, you mentioned having a hard day. He's having a hard day here on the track. He's just having difficulty hanging onto that car. Has been getting very squirrely and loose. You can see there Woodrow Mahan also getting loose on the exit with Nick Cohan just behind. So these tires are really starting to wear down for a lot of these drivers, especially you're seeing those effects on Mahan and Harden right this minute. Harden snapping a little bit on the exit, bobbling a bit. Both of them with Mahan too. So that tire wear is starting to come along. Like you said, it's probably not going to stay green, and we might see that caution soon based on how some of these cars are starting to handle.
Liking what I'm seeing out of Drew Carroll. Carroll's starting to reel in the leaders as they approach lap traffic. I think that's Don Runkle up in front of him. It is. The leader's fast approaching Don. He's got a decision to make, and he decides to go down the track, out of the way. Not a factor in that battle. Drew Carroll still on a strong run, though, back there in third. Could be our dark horse tonight. Not up for the $50, but certainly up for a win.
Yeah, he qualified 7th and has actually recovered from the restart situation with Tyler Dalton not being able to get on the loud pedal quick enough after trying to make a jump. But with these lap cars, it's a single groove track. You have to expect them to move down. If you reach them in a corner, though, that could be very nerve-wracking in my opinion. As you can see in our car right now just diving down there, the 83 of Devin Cannon back out on track. As it's just about managing the traffic, managing the race. And that's why you're seeing these three running away in the top 3, but it might not stay the entire way around as Don Runkle's in the pits.
Yeah, I like Thomas George's approach there on that last turn. He kind of looked to the inside. keeping the downforce on the right front of that car. That's how you want to follow a leader like that. If you want the car to turn, you try and plant the right front of your nose just behind the left rear, almost to the center of the bumper there. Thomas running up the track and a little bit offline there on it. But again, that's a great way to keep the downforce on the nose, allowing your car to turn. Certainly Darlington being one of those tracks that turning is such a premium here. So hard to keep the momentum going in these cars at speed. You tend to lose a lot of speed in either end of the track based on your setup. But George doing a really, really good job of following and being a really good student right now, following Jeff Ward around this track. Again, I can't talk enough about Drew Carroll and the type of run he's had so far. Drew looking good, still solid here in third. These guys have put 3 seconds on the rest of the field because you got to go back to Brody Hayes. Still holding off Tommy Ryan. Tommy not able to get there and pull off a pass. Tommy getting a bit of a run that time, though, out of turn 4. Still not enough to come around. Now Tommy Ryan's got to worry about Brian Yazek because he is there. He's present. He is up to 6th. Looking to take away another one here. We'll come around and start lap 90 next time. Leaving us, how many laps is that? 20 laps. 20 laps to the halfway point. I think we're going to be okay on fuel to do that. So if you're going to be making a move into that top 10, I think now is a good chance to start getting focused on it. On screen, they were looking at Tyler Dalton, but Tommy Ryan just trying to pull off the pass of Brody Hayes does not do it. And man, the sacrifice for that was tremendous because Yazek comes around the outside with the run and able to clear Tommy Ryan and take that position away from him. Yazek now up to 5th.
Yeah, Yazek, he is now working his way completely up through this field, completely recovered essentially from his struggles earlier on, as I keep on repeating multiple times now. But when you look at the point situation, he's got it lined up at least to get 5 more bonus points on top of Nick Cohan, because Cohan, who just snuck into the top 10, it's currently, like I said before the start of the race, it's a 10-point gap right now between those two. It's about all the points you can get. So I wouldn't be surprised if Brian Yazek tries to get by Brody Hayes to get another point cushion with Nick Cohan getting back in that top 10 and trying to close in on James Krahula at the back of that field.
Ooh, Thomas George with a scary moment coming off of turn 4 while we watch Yazek Brody Hayes there.
And scary moment on the backstretch, meanwhile, as you say that, Stephen Herring just bounced off the wall down the backstretch getting loose. And Rick Thompson is able to just get by. We still stay green, though, as Herring is a lap down. Let's take a look at your GSRC replay here. Your back row motorsports car just getting too low on the exit, clipping the apron, smacking the wall. He had been letting cars by, the faster cars, I should say, but he is still roaring here. In fact, you can see Thomas George keeping up with that said group as they zoom right by Herring. And Hayes, yeah, his tires might be wearing out again.
Yeah, Hayes definitely starting to struggle with the handling on that car. Now being overtaken by Tyler Dalton. Dalton on the inside. Oh, Dalton. Oh, Hayes almost picks. Oh, Hayes does make contact. Now he's getting turned around. Hayes gets turned around by the 51, and James Krahula somehow saves it out of turn 4. Nick Cohan able to sneak on through and pick up all those spots. Nick Cohan gets 3 spots right there, up to 7th as a result of that. Wow. I'm going to replay on board with James Krahula here. Frosty, I don't know who he's got on the hood of that car. James going to the inside here. You're going to see the contact just up in front of him there. And that's the 51 of RJ Williams getting into the back. Wow, that was crazy. And Nick Cohan, like I said, Nick Cohan was the big winner there, able to pick up 3 spots getting through that. Krahula was so lucky to avoid that. Still going, still right behind Brody Hayes. Hayes definitely has some front damage on the front of his Toyota now. That will be a factor in this race, but Krahula able to hang on, finds himself in ninth, and lives to fight another day.
Yep, he continues to go on. He did get some damage, as you've seen, on that front hood on the right side in his Ken Schrader throwback. But he is still able to keep up, thankfully. But Brody Hayes, something has got to be going on with this car on the long run, because he's been running good on the short run, then around this long run point, he's just dropping off, which led to the bottleneck, which is now leading him to lose the position to Krahula as he slams the door, actually, on Krahula, as he's barely holding on to the safe spot. A bunch of drivers, I wouldn't be surprised, would be biting at his heels for the next few laps.
Oh, yeah, battle for second there. Thomas George was under attack from Drew Carroll. Carroll still down there at the bottom. He tried to pull it off going into 3, couldn't quite make it work, but he still holds position on the inside as they come across the start-finish line. Into 1. Wow, give it to Drew Carroll. He powers his way past Thomas George there on the bottom of the track. Drew Carroll up to second here on lap 99. Yeah, somebody sees that the bonus points are just ahead. Drew Carroll getting better by another spot. But man, that little fight came with a sacrifice to the leader, Jeff Ward, now almost a full second ahead of these two. Drew Carroll, Thomas George looking pretty good in front of Yazik, about 5 seconds. Carroll trying to dig and get there, but man, Drew Carroll still just a little bit faster. Running out of time with 10 laps to go here to hit that halfway bonus.
Yeah, we continue on those shuffling, as you mentioned, with the points Cohan got by Tyler Dalton after Tyler Dalton had slammed the wall a little bit. And we got some more trouble for Hayes as he's going to bounce off the wall himself. And James Grahula runs right side by side as Hayes' struggles continue. But where was I? Oh yes, the points. It's currently just a +2 advantage for Yazik if we stay in this positioning for bonus points. That would make it a 12-point advantage for Yazik if we stay the exact way we are. But Hayes, man, what's going on with him?
Yeah, not sure there. I see Krobach off the track coming into his pit stop. Oh boy, R.J. Williams with more trouble. He's spinning down the front straight. Still out of the racing line. The car comes to a stop just near the end of the pit wall. He's trying to back it up and get back going again. No, he's drifting back up to the surface.
Oh, right in front of Jeff Ward, in fact. Let's take a look at the replay of what happened as he's back going. He just rose up into the wall just a little too quick on the exit. Slaps the wall, spins around. He is still going.
Yeah, there he is, sliding back up the track, almost gets an award there. Wow, that was really, really close. A lot closer than it probably needed to be, and a lot more nervous than Jeff Ward should probably be. Wow. Okay, here we go. We're working lap 105, this time by Jeff Ward, coming up on Chris Scala, communicating with him, letting him know where he's at. Communication here at Darlington, so important.
Especially with the different strategies for pit stops and with the tire wear. Some drivers, of course, decide to bring it in early. Scala, Krobach, among those drivers at the moment. So you're seeing some strategy playing out for this halfway point in just a couple of laps as we come to 5 to go to halfway.
Yeah, Jeff Ward having a dominating run so far here in Darlington. Drew Carroll been one of the bigger stories of the night. He has shown really, really good pace and an ability to keep the car off the wall. Leaves the 87 clean and in good shape here to chase Jeff Ward. Thomas George, great evening for him as well. Your top three have just seemed to really found the hook up here at Darlington Raceway, having a great run, these three drivers. Brian Yazik, he's had one more pit stop in your top three, but he is starting to close in on them just a bit. He's had some good laps here finds himself now under 4 seconds behind Thomas George. So Yazik, another one of the drivers, doing pretty well. He's come from, let's face it, he's come from all the way in the back. If you think back to what happened early on in this race, Brian Yazik found himself at the back of the field. He's managed to get back up through the field, find himself in 4th place right now, but he's got to watch out because here comes Tommy Ryan. We go on board in that Northern Tools Chevrolet. Tommy Ryan chasing this HPP Simulations Ford of Brian Yazik. And yes, that is a rookie stripe on the points leaders bumper. Brian Yazik, a rookie to the Cup Series. So that's why he's running that. He's certainly not running it because he wants it. In fact, if I told you how he really felt about that yellow stripe, I think we'd be taken off the air. So I'm not going to go into that. Anyway.
Yeah. But I'll let you go with that because you're seeing the top two just pulled away as you were discussing all of that from Thomas George.
Yeah, and as they come around here, they're going to work on lap 110, and at the completion of 110, we'll award the halfway award winner. And man, Drew Carroll was digging and then got a piece of the wall coming out of 4. Really, it hurt his momentum. Jeff Ward going to ride around turn 2. Drew Carroll gets a little bit of momentum up there, but I don't think it's going to be enough here to pull off a move. You need something pretty amazing to happen at this point. Ward going to get her clean into 3, keep it on the top side, and get clean out of 4. Going to come around here out of turn 4. Jeff Ward going to take home another American Pool Supply halfway award winner. Congratulations, Jeff Ward. You've definitely earned it tonight. The Hardee's Chevrolet has been tough. Drew Carroll, I think, knows exactly how tough, and he's going to keep digging to try and get there as the green flag continues to stay out here. Now we've got to wonder about how much more fuel do your leaders have? How long can they continue to run at their current pace?
You mentioned that Brody Hayes had just gone in the pits exactly as we enter that halfway lap. Tommy Ryan is coming in along with a few others, so everyone trying to reach out for those bonus points as everyone, just about a lot of the contenders are in the pits. Ryan, Dalton, Trahula in this grouping this time around. The 51's now pulling out, meanwhile, from his spin earlier on. Following them is someone who is struggling a lot on that run, Ricky Harden.
Yeah, and listen, if you're Jeff Ward or Drew Carroll, you don't want to get caught out here too long, struggling on tires that are not near as good. All right, I think we got our answer on fuel and how long these guys were trying to run it out. I would expect our leaders here to start coming in as Brody Hayes starts trying to make his way around Drew Carroll. He clears him with the fresh tires, and now he's going to clear Jeff Ward coming out of the turn.
Speaking of running out, someone just ran out of luck. Michael Krolbach's engine has just expired, and he's pulled down into the former pit road and pulled himself in the garage area. So he is done for the day. Let's see what happened here. Yeah, there was a spin. In fact, he kept on going, and then into turn 1, his car just blew up. We'll have to see what happened with the spin out here, because it seemed like a multiple sequence of events. We'll see what happened. Let's look at this. He had just gotten some fresh tires a few laps ago. Oh, Don Ronco hit the wall in front of him, causing him to overcorrect. And he just gets back going. And then after he gets back going, it just goes boom right into turn 1 right about here. So multiple things went wrong with Krolbach there. Multiple stretches of bad luck. So like I said, the Golden Horseshoe just ran out.
Okay, here's your situation here at the front of the field right now. Your top 4 all out on the same strategy with tires and fuel right now. They're now coming around on their 52nd laps on fuel and tires. Everybody else behind them has taken care of that. Now, one driver off pace, Chris Scala, got about coming up on 20 laps on his tires. Oh, Carroll just taking the lead from Ward. Is Ward coming in? Ward is in the pits. Let me get away from that. Go back to this here. On pit lane, our leader, Jeff Ward, comes in. Drew Carroll decides to stay out for one lap, probably, so he can get in clean here. Ward coming down the very long pit lane. Here comes Drew Carroll down the backstretch into turn 3 now. No word from Carroll. Carroll slowing down, coming off the track. Here comes Drew Carroll. As we said, Jeff Ward already down in the pit lane. Carroll gets her slowed down, gets her in the pit lane clean. Brian Yazik still stays out. He'll go to the lead, and he gets a little bit of the wall coming off there. We gave you some attention there.
I wouldn't be surprised if he comes in this time by. He's the only driver still out on track with those tires. Nick Cohan had followed in Carroll there. So, in fact, he got a better stop, I think, because now Cohan just pulled out. Carroll still in the stalls, as you're seeing Jeff Ward just coming right on out in 4th still.
Right, and Ward is going to get out now. Going to get out in front of Chris Scala, who is back in 5th. Now Scala going to need a pit stop here at some point. He's 22 laps on those tires. Yazik finally making his call. Brian Yazik with 56 laps on his tires decides to come in. And he's struggling. Wow, struggling big time there to get into that pit. I talked about how tricky that was, Justin. That was a close but very, very lucky moment there for Brian Yazik.
Yeah, we both talked about that. That is where you were like, okay, where's my pit entrance? Oh, there it is. And you have to basically just dive it right on in. That almost was disaster. Now Thomas George, you're seeing, like you mentioned, is that car to watch, with a big gap right now on Jeff Ward in 3rd with pit strategy. And he should take the lead this time around, as he will be in the lead for the first time today.
George finally going to get that Pepsi machine to the point. He finds himself just over 3 seconds ahead of Jeff Ward. They are not off on strategy by much at all. And Yazik finally getting his way out of the pits. Will slot into what looks to be about 12th for him. Now that we've got all the pit stops out of the way, we're going to take a very quick break here on the Global Sim Racing channel. We'll be back in just a flash. the Premier Racing League Patriot Fire Cup Series right here on the Global Sim Racing channel. You're watching round 27, the Patriot Fire Southern 300. Jeff Ward chasing Thomas George, our leader right now. The chase is on because that lead is shrinking ever so quickly, now down to about a second and a half. Ward's starting to really turn in the laps that matter. He's got Woodrow Mahan in front of him, and then Thomas George. So big things happening out here on track. Let's run through the field here for you real quick. Thomas George, again, your leader. Maybe not for long. We'll see. Jeff Ward sitting in second place. The number 89's had a great run here so far. Was the leader at the halfway point. Drew Carroll still hanging on to third place. Lost a little bit of time with that pit stop, but he's good. Tommy Ryan sitting in fourth. James Krahula up to fifth. James recovering nicely. That pit stop really helped him out. In the sixth, Tyler Dalton, who's just not been able to find a way to get back to the front yet. Brody Hayes having struggles at the end of that run. The last 10, 15 laps of that last run for him were miserable, but he still finds himself in seventh. Nick Cohan in eighth. Brian Yazik sitting in 10th currently. It's been a bit of a slog for him. I think he would admit that to you, but Brian's still hanging in there. 10th, going to go to Ricky Harden. Tim Johnston in 11th. Chris Scala now pulling off the track from 12th. That's going to give it to Woodrow Mahan. Goes up to 12th. Scala peeling into the pits. Rick Thompson in 14th. He'll now go in front of Scala. And then you got Don Runkle, who is several laps off, back there in 15th. Jonathan Lawrence still on track in 16th. Why don't you talk to us real quick, Justin, about the retirements we've had this evening?
Yeah, we've had a lot of retirements. On top of that, some of the cars that are out of this race include R.J. Williams, Michael Krobach, Stephen Herring, Justin Rodden, Matt Murphy, Travis McQuistion, Brett Bucari, Nicholas Caldwell, Andrew Jones, Rich Shetty, Gregory McDougall, Norman Peltier, Randy Yoakum, Adam Littell, and a few who did not make the grid due to struggles, Brian Mellendorf and DJ Beverly. So a lot of different drivers, whether it's connections or bad luck, they have just not been able to run out here. The only car that is on track that has had an incident that's been able to get back out, 70 laps down, Devin Cannon.
Yeah, Devin back there slugging away. And listen, if you can get back in this race at this point, you stand a chance to maybe get yourself a top 15, certainly within the top 20. If you can overcome those repairs and get back on track, there are laps, still plenty of laps to be able to make this up. Good battle on track right now is, I thought that was one for position. It's not. Brody Hayes letting Chris Scala get by. Scala still trying to get back to the lead lap after his last pit stop. Scala now finds himself a couple laps down. He's going to need a little bit of help from there to get back on the lead lap. Up front, let's go back to the lead, though. Jeff Ward got to the wrong spot there. Ward has closed in on Thomas George. This is a real fight now. Ward bringing out the heavy artillery here, heading into turn and out of turn 2. Ward with a good trip off the top of the turn. Sets him up down the backstretch as they go into 3. Look for Ward to maybe pull off this pass down the front straightaway.
And this is just a tire difference of about 4 laps. This is how big tires are a major factor here. Jeff Ward with the fresher tires. So Thomas George is going to do all he can really to try and keep this lead. And if he realizes he can't hold him off for any longer, he's going to let him by. That's exactly what's going on as Ward's to the bottom.
And he's not letting him do anything. I think Ward is enforcing his will right now. Not able to do it yet, though. Thomas George really running right now and looking pretty smooth up there doing it. So we got a good fight here between a couple of Chevys. And, this isn't bad for Ward to follow, but that dirty air, not your best friend. And now Ward looks to take that spot once again. Drops to the inside here in turn 3. You know what, though? There isn't any speed down there in that lower groove, though. Thomas George proving that. Oh, Ward. Oh, George not going to be able to save it. George not going to be able to save it here. Going to lock him up. No
caution.
yet.
He's in the middle of the track.
And it's out. Caution's out. Caution's out, and I think that was the only way that was going to end is with a caution because there was nowhere Thomas George could go. Lots of cars still getting by. We're watching it on the replay. Ward gets just a piece of him there off of the turn, and I thought for a moment there that Thomas was going to recover. Wasn't able to get that car back in shape. Watch it again here. Just really, really small contact, but it's coming off the turn. Thomas George in an impossible position there to make that work. The car went left and right a couple of times, and it finally slid back up towards the wall. Had traffic behind him on the way in a hurry, and that does bring out our caution flag here at lap 140. Looks right on court for Drew Carroll. Look at it from his position. He was following these guys. Drew Sid was sitting back there in third. You see the damage that his car is fighting with there on the right front. And you see the smoke up there in front of him. Drew has to make a move down to the inside. Just getting by there. That's going to move Drew Carroll up to second. Thomas George, obviously not thrilled about what happened there, but I think everybody will get over it. George going to live to fight again. Going to get in the pits. All of our leaders coming down here. Ultimately, this may not hurt George too much.
Yeah, George fell back to about 10th as Ricky Harden's still out on track. But you mentioned the damage with Carroll. This caution could have happened a lap sooner because Mahan went around and Drew Carroll bounced off the wall just shortly after that, after he got a bit loose out of 4. He ended up bouncing off the wall for his Darlington stripe in 1 and 2. That's how he got that damage. We'll have to see how it affects him as he's going to start now right alongside Jeff Ward on this next restart. Depending on if Ricky Harden decides to really stay out here and shuffle up the deck big time here.
Well, let's look at our Coastal Safety Auditors Lucky Dog. Good boy, Brutus. We haven't seen you a bunch tonight, but there's Rick Thompson, Speed Mafia driver there in the American Pool Supply Ford. So we're getting all of our sponsors there in one spot. American Pool Supply, the pool is clean. Coastal Safety Auditors, your one-stop shop for fire, life, and safety equipment. Whew. All right, let's catch our breath here because we're now down just under 80 laps to go here. When we get restarted, I think we'll probably have about 76, 75 laps to go. Yeah, it's been a bit of a creeper at times, but boy, things have really started to heat up here on track. Chris Scala is going to get an opportunity. Let's see. Scala did not go in here. He's going to get one of his laps back.
He's going to go for the wave around. He is on a different pit strategy compared to everybody else, as he went in about 10 laps sooner than the main leaders. John Runkle Jr., it looks like he might be trying to get one too because he's been going in fairly more frequently compared to others. He's got 8 pit stops on the day. And as you may have noticed, a couple cars dropped to the back with their pit strategies, including Ricky Harden. So it will be Ward versus Carroll on the front row here heading for the restart this time around. Sean, though, there are some cars moving through this field. Nick Cohan has been a really good long-run car. You're seeing him rise up. Brian Yazik has recovered. And that's still a points battle, too, with those 2 cars in 4th and 5th. So a lot of different things to pay attention to as we come to 1 to green with the wave-around cars going right around.
Yeah, and we can't let our fans watching tonight forget that there is money on the line, $50, a chance to win it. And looking through the field here, all 5 of our Fast 5 contenders are still in this race. Jeff Ward, Nick Cohan, Thomas George, Tyler Dalton, and Ricky Harden, all still with a legitimate shot to win $50 this evening as we head into the backstretch here. Jeff Ward gets ready to lead them off in the Hardys, number 89. just noticed he's actually has Russ Wheeler on top of the door, so that makes it official. Days of Thunder throwback there, and we're getting ready to throw the Ford Mustang off the track, and Jeff getting ready to get him started. Here he goes. Jeff starting him just like he has all night. He gets on it there pretty much at the apex of the turn, and he is away across the line. Tommy Ryan slips into third there on the restart in front of Brian Yazik. He's going to let him have it. Drew Carroll off to a nice start there, falling in right behind our leader, Jeff Ward. Ward really gets a strong start, though. Already opens it up to half a second in turn 3. The rest of the field behind him, scrambling, jockeying, looking for position. James Carrula trying to improve back there, currently in 8th. Had a moment there to look to Tim Johnston, wasn't able to pull it off. Just behind him, Brody Hayes still digging. Hayes able to get some of that damage repaired on the car, seems to be back up to speed. Still hanging on to the top 10.
Just a small update as we watch this top 10 battle. Jonathan Lawrence on that restart hit the wall with a 1 and 2. He's now added to the list of many DNFs today. Just something to make note of, as he had been a lucky dog a few times around. But now, one less lap car to deal with if you're still in this traffic right now, or some of the leaders, I should say, as Tommy Ryan, he's got to make sure he focuses on what's in front of him in the track, not looking at what's behind him in the points leader of Brian Yazik.
Boy, and Jeff Ward just set the fastest lap of the race here, 146 laps in, a 27.346. So obviously Jeff Ward's still very consistent. The length of time on the track hasn't seemed to bother him one bit, as he's still focused enough to turn these incredibly fast laps. Battle happening here behind, though. Boy, here comes Brian Yazik now. Really got Tommy Ryan in the crosshairs. Yazik doing everything he can to keep himself at the top of this points championship, having a really great run, probably one of the best runs he's had as of recent. He struggled just a bit. He's had some bad luck, but Yazik certainly back in this race tonight. The Ford Fusion really on the money here in 4th. Tommy Ryan right up there in front of him. Drew Carroll still a factor there to deal with, but Brian Yazik just off the podium right now. Thomas George behind him. George just had the fastest lap around for that trip there, so George started to make some small gains here on Yazik.
Yeah, I was just about to say Thomas George, who had been spun around there on the front stretch to bring out that caution. He's on a tear, back already up to 5th. As we look at this battle, though, that has a lot of cars shuffling. James Carrula getting around Timothy Johnston, or trying to at least, a 5-car train.
Oof. Brody Hayes really had to check up there. He did, and he checked up, and Tyler Dalton almost ran him over. Tyler done a good job of staying out of that. I think none of these cars are clean. They've all got just a bit of damage on them. So best thing to do, stay out of trouble. Race well together, cut a big hole in the air, and try and pick up some spots. That's their only hope to catch our leaders.
Believe it or not, I think the only one without major damage up near the front is Ward, in fact, because despite that contact which brought out the caution, he's still fairly clean, and that's why he's got a great run compared to Drew Carroll, who does have that damage from multiple stripes from his right side of the car. But you mentioned crosshairs. Thomas George, he's going to try and get by these guys quick. He wants to get back up to Ward and back up for a battle for the lead quick.
Why, tough night for Nick Cohan. Oh, poor Nick. He just had a disconnection. Looks like his internet not up to snuff tonight. Nick Cohan out of this race due to a disconnection. That's going to cost him big time. Take him out of contention for the $50 in the Fast 5. He was there, and then he was gone.
Yeah,
Tim Johnston, go ahead.
We were both going to say the same thing. He is in the pits. Start off this pit cycle, I guess, as he had been battling for around the top 10 before he came in. But you mentioned Cohan. That could basically that could all but destroy his chances at the championship. They came in just a few points apart. With the bonus points, it was about 12, 13 points apart. With that disconnection, if he's now coming back in, but he's now 6 laps down, that's going to distance it back to at least almost 20 points because of one disconnection, as Johnston has just pulled out of the race.
He has, and something going on there with Tim Johnston, not really sure. I was just about to say that was not a scheduled stop. He had only been out there for about 13 laps. So Tim Johnston apparently having some real-world issues there that have caused him to step away from the race. That's unfortunate.
Oh, and Don Runkle Jr.'s around in turns 1 and 2, and he's coming up the track, Sean, and my goodness!
In front of Brody Hayes and Tyler Dalton, and the yellow flag is still not out yet. No caution. Cars coming through there. Oh, boy.
Yeah, that just destroyed Hayes, I believe, as well Tyler Dalton. So that was a lapped car there in his Buckshot Jones tribute car.
Yeah, Don. It's a shame. Don obviously was struggling just a bit. He makes that contact with the wall. Had no control of it there at that point. He was a passenger. Tyler Dalton, Brody Hayes going to get collected. That is, that's a tough break for both of those guys. Can't believe we didn't get a caution on board with Dalton here. And again, it's just not going to end well. Nowhere for those guys to go. Don Runkle, a passenger in his own car there at that point. I think that's going to be an ender for Tyler Dalton. The car smoking heavily down the pit lane. I'm not going to make any barbecue jokes this evening because you know what? There's been way too many of them. In the attrition level, maybe at an all-time high in this race. We knew Darlington would be tough. We didn't know it would be this tough. It has been very tough.
Yeah, some drivers. I'm surprised, like you said, that caution didn't come out. Ricky Harden was caught off guard, in fact, because he's actually gotten to the point where he's calling for us to actually show that on board from how he had to avoid that accident. He thought it was a caution, slowed down, and it cost him a few spots on top of that. He's all the way back to 7th. But guess who is taking advantage of the no caution? Thomas George. He's up to 4th position, right by Yazik.
Yep, George picking another position up here. On board Tommy Ryan, following Drew Carroll.
Yeah, they're trying to get by Carroll at this point because Jeff Ward has gotten a 2-second advantage. Because, I think partially because of that damage, because it's severe enough to slow down Carroll on basically all the straightaways, and everyone else has just been following his pace. With Ward in that clean air with no damage compared to the rest of his competition, as long as it stays green, it might be Ward's race to lose. But we've seen stranger things happen here in the Patriot Fire Cup Series, so I wouldn't be surprised if that doesn't stick, Sean.
Yeah, and we're left with 11 on track right now. Good battle here, though. Tommy Ryan. Man, I just keep blowing it on these guys this evening. I'm sorry, guys. Drew Carroll trying to hold off the charge of Tommy Ryan. Thomas George right there. It's the Tommy and Thomas show. Attacking Drew Carroll. Jeff Ward getting away from them. Brian Yazik still very, very much a factor. You know, this is how you win a championship. You stay in this thing. You stay relevant. And top 5 definitely keeps you relevant. He doesn't really need a win. A win would be helpful. Right now, though, is he as fast as Jeff Ward? No, he's not. But he is in 5th place, and he's got great positions in front of him. And you know what? As this race finds itself now here in basically the last quarter of the race, I think Yazik's sitting pretty here. this battle in front of him, anything could happen. Thomas George getting a great run on Tommy Ryan. Drew Carroll, though, we've talked about him all night. Drew has just been incredibly solid this evening, not willing to give up a podium spot. I really think Drew, a great shot to find himself at the podium this evening if we just keep everything together. We know everybody's going to need at least one more stop. Justin, back to you.
Yeah, we will, of course, need that one more stop. The alarm bells are, in fact, ringing some people's heads like it is in your backdrop. So I wouldn't be surprised if that is going to be the siren of when am I going to get these tires and fuel to make sure we last till the end of this race. And you mentioned some of these points and sitting pretties. Tommy Ryan, he's slowly chipping away at that points lead now because of how he's running with those bonus points and being near up the front. And Drew Carroll, you mentioned, he's now going to be an ace once things all said and done because of Tim Johnston's struggles. So multiple drivers coming into Darlington needing some good luck and to tame the lady in black. And they are starting to tame it, as it looks like Thomas George will have to start dropping back. His tires are starting to wear out as Yazik goes right on by.
Yeah, Yazik able to get that spot away. This is really, really playing into Brian's hands. Tommy Ryan starting to get just a bit of a run here at Drew Carroll. Could Tommy be looking to take this spot away? Boy, he's riding him, trying to maybe even just pressure him into a mistake here. Boy, it looks like we might have had another disconnection issue. In fact, I think we did. Was that Rick Thompson? Yeah, Rick Thompson just dropped out. Wow.
Yeah, is it?
Oh, Drew Carroll moving out of the way, letting everybody by. What happened here?
I think he finally realized he was holding up the entire pack there and just finally let him by, just dropping back to the end of this tail end. And I think a lot of drivers are saying to themselves, thankfully and finally, because Ward's gone to a 3.4 second gap. You mentioned, though, with Thompson. Internet quality at 17. So something is going on with Rick Thompson for that to be going on.
Boy, another driver having a failure there. That's tough for him. Maybe a smart move here for Drew Carroll. He could be dropping back to save a little bit of fuel. I still think everybody, in fact, I'm pretty safe by saying everybody's still going to need a pit stop one way or the other, whether it be a yellow flag or green flag. Drew Carroll could just be setting himself up here in a safer spot to kick back, save a little bit of fuel right now, and continue to play this strategy. Now, what does that mean for everybody chasing? Well, James Carula is just behind these guys. Ricky Harden has a little bit more work to do where he's at, as he now finds himself about 9 seconds back from our leaders. But Carula, you know what? He's starting to kind of put things together himself. And it couldn't be, might not be long before Carula finds himself up in his battle with these four. But everything right now setting up towards that next pit stop, Justin. I see Devin Cannon on the board there. He's still out there running, just picked up another spot. Devin Cannon now officially up to 20th. Budweiser number 83 still out there slinging it around.
Yeah, that's one of the things they encourage when you run in any race, really. If you have struggles in the beginning of the race, get the repairs done, because you're not going to be the only one who has struggles. That's why he's up in that top 20 now, and he's able to get some more points in this situation. Meanwhile, Tommy Ryan, he's slowly starting to try and close this gap. It's just stabilized at a 3.7 second gap with Drew Carroll right by Thomas George once again. Speaking of pit stops, Rick Thompson back out on track. Don Runkle Jr., he's coming in, as he had that situation before. So a couple cars switching up. Thompson, of course, did have that internet situation, but he is still roaring in 9th position. 7 laps down, surprisingly.
Okay, that's good. We're glad to see him back on track. He will at least still continue to ensure himself of a great points finish this evening. Still sits in 9th place, back on track, on the same lap with Nick Cohan. But up front, nothing has changed much. You obviously are a leader, still Jeff Ward. But this battle here just behind him is real. Tommy Ryan now finds himself in second place. Brian Yazik is on the podium right now in third. Here comes Drew Carroll working his way back up to the field. He was able to get around Thomas George. Drew is back up to fourth. Thomas George patiently sitting back there in fifth, and James Krahula, as I said before, he is starting to slowly make his way up here to this battle in the top five. So Krahula having a solid run despite a little bit of trouble and avoiding some carnage. Krahula has remained consistent enough here to make himself a factor. And basically at this point we've got 7 cars left on the lead lap. Chris Scala, the first car a lap down, he sits in 8th. Thompson in 9th, and Nick Cohan rounding out your top 10 here.
Yeah, we only have 14 cars left on the track overall. 13, pardon me, because Derek Paulson has been sitting in the pits since his incident. So right now, with this little amount of cars on the track, there's not a lot of factor of cars and traffic. It's just and something's going on with Brian Yazik as he's going to go in the pits.
Oh, this could be all strategy for Yazik as he makes his way in. Yazik coming down. I don't see anything unordinary about this stop so far. The car looks okay. A perfect stop will be key here for Yazik if this is his play.
Yeah, and it would come down to pit strategy for these cars to be able to catch up to Jeff Ward. That's why Tommy Ryan's coming in now a lap later with James Krahula. Both of them trying to make sure Tommy Ryan slides into the pits, pardon me. And he's still going, trying to get to that pit road speed. We'll check out the replay. The speed limit is 45. And he was very close in going over that with the side swipe. So we'll see if he doesn't have a black flag. He does not want to have that happen, obviously, in this situation.
No, he doesn't. And that was certainly costly. As far as time goes there for him, he did not need that to happen. Ryan Krahula, though, getting out. Yazik was able to get out of his pit stop clean. All right. So, got 3 cars there that all decided to come down pit lane early here. Oh, here come Jeff Ward and Drew Carroll. They're in. That's going to take Thomas George up to the lead.
Just a couple lap difference between those two and the cars who just went in. If Thomas George can spread this out for a couple more laps, that might be a major factor. We saw the tire wear difference with the fall off between 4 laps. If Thomas George can stick it out for a few more laps, this might be the way he can get the victory. And let's see those pit stops meanwhile. What do you think? 4 tires or 2 or 3 or 1?
4 tires, indeed, is the prescription here. 4 tires and fuel. I don't think you're going to mess with 2 here at Darlington. Thomas George is the leader, though, and he's still on track. Ricky Harden now up to second. Ricky, also another driver that's still out there on a long run. And I guess the big question is now is how much do these guys want to give up?
You may have heard the O there. That's because Tommy Ryan on those fresh tires almost lost control of the car and fell back to 6th because of it. You can see him there now farther back behind Krahula. He was able to save it, as you can see and tell by where he's running. But my goodness, his struggles continue the past couple laps with the pit entry, the fresh tires now. Everything seems to be falling apart for Ryan, but it falls into the lap of Krahula and Yazik, just like that.
All right, well, Jeff Ward currently sits in 3rd. He's got Harden, Thomas George in front of him, both still needing a pit stop. Brian Yazik chasing Jeff Ward, Another one of those drivers that just came off a stop. Yazik's got it down to about a second and a half. But here comes James Grahula. Grahula now starting to reel in Yazik just a bit. Grahula was able to get by his teammate Ricky Harden. Ricky let him go. Yazik, though, holding him off here for now. Still expect to see Ricky Harden and Thomas George both come down and take a pit stop here. But now we find ourselves with 35 laps to go. Who's it going to be here tonight? Wow. This has been a long one, but man, it's been some great racing. Thomas George finally gets a run at the lead here, and as the time and the laps tick away, he's got to be feeling those tires just continue to fade away from him. It's got to be getting so much tougher with a tank that's running low. Not a lot of weight in the rear end of that car now, not as much as there was. 107 degrees on track battle for sixth here is Tommy Ryan. Drew Carroll trying to take it away from him. What's Drew got? Let's see what he's got here late in the race. Drew really having trouble hanging on to it down there. Ooh, that was close.
Yeah, he wiggled out in the middle of two and exiting two there. And it was, like you said, close. If that wiggle was a little bit more sharper, we might be seeing these two in the middle of a spin cycle with a bunch of time mixed into there as well, and maybe some Winston as well. Or Winston cigarettes, pardon me. So he's lucky to still be going on here, but he's going to work his way right back up just like that. The thing I'm surprised though is, Sean, Thomas George is still stretching this out. Usually a lot of drivers at tracks like this might decide to short pit it. Carroll, you can see, is going to make that said move. Pardon me, on Ryan.
Yeah, finally gets that done. Carroll now up to sixth. Once it got around Ryan, he's off in a rocket ship. He's able to clear him well. Next opponent there in front of him, James Grahula.
And Thomas George is in. He almost lost control into the pit entrance, and he's going to be very close. In fact, on the speeding, it was about 47 miles per hour going into the pits, going sideways a bit, actually trying to get the speed with the Steel Horse Racing driver. And this means Ricky Harden is the only one not to go in, the Goat Rope Racing driver. And he was falling way off the pace, letting all those cars go by too. It's Thomas George just overran his pit stall, and he's going to lose some more time because of his strategy.
Wow. Yeah, cannot cost yourself time here in the pit, especially under a green flag and 30 laps left to go. Jeff Ward is now going to move up to second. Ricky Harden, my friend Ricky, your time as the leader is it's dwindling because you've been out there for almost 50 laps now. Absolutely going to need a pit stop. Ward has got fresh tires now, well, 10-lap-old tires, but he's a-coming, and he's about 2 seconds faster, so it'll be interesting to see how quickly Ward can close this gap on Ricky Harden.
Well, Harden is known for his crazy strategies with pits. We've seen that at Michigan. We're seeing that again here at Darlington. If there's a caution, though, he might be the benefactor and be able to stay up at the front. If we stay green, though, I don't think so. But with the strategy of tires on this topic, Thomas George, of course, has about a 10-lap difference now on Ward, Yazik, Grahula, Carroll, Ryan. If this stays green as well, Thomas George will be the benefactor of everything as well.
Battle for third, heating up here just a bit. Grahula has finally caught him. Yazik looking in his mirror, and all he can see is whatever that is on the hood of James's car. I'm going to have to ask him. I'm sure we'll get a chance to talk to him here at the end of the race. But James running an interesting throwback scheme. It's not Carrot Top, but it's so. Oh, and James with a little bit of contact there with the wall interrupts his run to go catch Yazik. And this is going to be a close one right down to the finish for Yazik and Grahula. And yeah, well, Drew Carroll's still here too. Carroll still back here having fun, still looking to maybe finish this race on the podium. Probably will come down to the last few laps. Ricky Harden still on track. We know he needs a pit stop. When is he going to take it? Tyler Dalton down there on the bottom. He's still out here getting the car around, but he's getting me around slowly. There's Krahula making the move on, trying to pull this move up on Brian Yazik. It doesn't happen. Now Drew Carroll reels him in. Carroll trying to take advantage of this.
Yeah, Corolla just didn't get a good exit there into one, and that's why he wasn't able to pull off the pass. When you cannot go that low without losing control of your car, that's why you had to back off, and that's why Drew Carroll is going to go for the pass this time around, but just can't get it, as he falls right behind that throwback to the 2002-2003 Ken Schrader cars from BAM Racing.
Boy, here comes Drew Carroll. You see Carroll there in the red and white car. Yazik up in the wall. Yes, he is, and that opens the door for James Krahula to just barely get by. Drew Carroll comes right along with him. It's a big mistake by Yazik, and now he's got to deal with Tommy Ryan there in the 6 right behind him.
Yeah, I'm surprised he was able to keep it there and still keep a fairly decent pace even with that big scrape. But we got something going on in your lead. Jeff Ward has caught up to Mr. Warren Tires himself, Ricky Harden.
All right, and Ward's going to get by Ricky Harden. Go to the lead. Ricky held on for as long as he could. Ricky having a really, really long run here out on those tires. 56 laps. Coming around for 57. He fought as long as he could. Fought valiantly, but Jeff Ward back to the point. And this race not far from being over now as we go by for 199, approaching lap 200. That's what it took for Jeff Ward to get back to the front. As long as this race stays green, I think it's going to be really, really hard for the likes of Drew Carroll, James Krahula, Yazik, Tommy Ryan, all to catch him. They are now having their own little battle and very focused on that. Drew Carroll right now focused to maybe take this position away from Ricky Harden. He's definitely starting to close. Ricky's obviously a little bit slower. And here comes Carroll. He's going to try and drive past him here on the backstretch. Gets a great run out of 2. And there he goes. Here comes the rest of the field behind him. Going to catch him in a not such a great spot. He'll drop to the bottom and he'll let Krahula, Yazik, and Ryan all get by clean.
Yeah, because Carroll got by Krahula as we were showing that battle for the lead, he's now up to second. And you can see Yazik's now having to fight big time Ryan off still with that. Well, with the position of Harden too, I think that kind of helped Yazik keep up with Krahula and Carroll and keep Ryan behind him. Like, this is now just a 4-car tandem, really, all trying to get up to Jeff Ward, who is 4.2 seconds up from Drew Carroll. Question is, will Drew Carroll be able to keep up the speed, or will they have to get by him to keep up? Because that's what happened on the last run for these guys. They had to go around on the slingshot eventually, as Mr. Pit Strategy Thrower is now in the pits, finally.
Yeah, Ricky Harden bringing the Kellogg Chevrolet down on the pit lane here finally. What a great run for him. Ricky took it 60 laps on those tires and fuel. Got the lead a bunch of laps. Now finds himself in there. He's now in 7th. He'll be able to hold on to that spot. Should be. If he stays out of trouble, he should be fine. And James Krahula in the middle of this hornet's nest right now does have a podium spot. Brian Yazik wants to take it from him. He's going to have to take it like candy from a baby. It won't be easy. Probably come with a lot of fighting and a lot of screaming and hollering. Can he do it? Krahula seems to get better as the run goes on.
I think Krahula I think Karula, too, doesn't want to give away his own $50, so he might want to catch up to Ward to make sure that doesn't happen. And you were saying with Carroll, Sean. As Thomas George, though, is just bounced off the wall in 4, and he's barely holding on to it. He's around on the backstretch, Sean. Caution's out.
And we get a caution there for Thomas George. Let's check this out on the replay and try and find out what happened.
Yeah, he just bounced off that wall and just tried to save it, lost it, spun around. Nick Cohan ended up spinning right afterwards to avoid him. So Thomas George's strategy, you have to stay out of trouble for it to not happen like that. Unfortunately, it just didn't work out for him, and now the caution's going to really shake things up.
When Tyler Dalton just barely gets through that. Thomas George is lucky to avoid any real heavy damage or any real trouble from that. It happened in a bad spot on the track. Our leaders, though, all coming down pit lane. Nobody messing around here. This is the key to victory. We'll get restarted probably with about 10 to 11 laps to go. Maybe 11, and our leader's not playing around. They decide, you know what? Yeah, let's take that fuel. Let's take the tires. Ricky Harden, no big surprise. He's going to stay out on track.
I think he's your lucky dog, in fact, so he's going to have his cornflakes because it looks like that caution came in perfect timing for him to stay on that lead lap in a 7-car battle. So let's take a look at your brand new lucky dog, guys. Yeah. After the pit stops, as Jeff Ward comes out first, Carroll second, Grahula third, Yazik in fourth, Ryan fifth.
All right, and so Ricky Harden going to get the Coastal Safety Auditor's lucky dog. Good dog, Brutus, Ricky. Congratulations on picking that up. Ricky's car getting a little bit of the damage repaired, looking pretty good now. Coastal Safety Auditors, your one-stop shop for fire, life, and safety equipment. Some of the drivers from the back of the field not coming in. See Rick Thompson, Nick Cohan, Tyler Dalton all coming down now.
Yeah, and when we restart, I think it's going to be about 12, 11 laps to go. So this is going to really shake things up and make it a big-time dash for the finish. Some of these drivers might be fighting fatigue. I know the commentators are fighting fatigue right now. But it's going to be fun to watch this finish here. See who can catch up to Ward, or if Ward can pace it out enough to keep this victory, especially with 7 cars on this lead lap.
Well, it was horrible luck for Ricky Harden. I mean, honestly, he could have used that caution like 20 laps ago. We wound up with that caution flag there. And, now he finds himself, not in a great position to get restarted here. He's obviously on the same strategy with everybody else, but you know what? That's an awful tough field to have to fight through here in the closing laps of this race. Ultimately, it may just not be enough for him to get it done. But again, we still have the Fast Five at stake here. We'll get restarted with drivers eligible for this bonus of $50. Jeff Ward still fighting for it. Let's see who else. Thomas George still finds himself in position to win this here. Tyler Dalton, no. Ricky Harden. Ricky with an outside chance. So these three, Ward, George, and Harden still have a shot at $50. Obviously, Ricky with probably the toughest chance to get that done, but Jeff Ward are right where he wants to be, and Thomas George, he's been awfully good tonight. He's struggled at times, but ultimately, I think it's going to come down to how this race gets restarted. Obviously, Jeff Ward has done that perfectly every time he's got to restart this field this evening. I think still he is going to be tough to beat as we get ready to get restarted here. We'll We'll have 11 laps to go across the line. The Ford Mustang pace car will gently peel off into the pits as we come through turn 3. There it goes, and there goes Jeff Ward. Back on the hammer, he gets ahead of Drew Carroll out of turn 4. The fight behind him, everybody's scrambling for a spot there. Grahula, Yazik, door to door, heading down into turn 1. Yazik going to get ahead. Grahula going to slot in line. Here comes Thomas George getting under Tommy Ryan. So your leaders all get off to a great start, filing pretty quickly there, line the stern. Grahula looking to the bumper there of Brian Yazik. Nothing doing yet. 10 to go at the line. Jeff Ford still in command of this race.
In command, but the question is, can he hold it off? Because we've seen early on that compared to the other drivers, on the medium run distance around this 10 lap mark, this is when a lot of drivers caught back up to that back bumper. This is going to be testing a lot of people's patience to do just that, because if you overdrive this car, you're going to blow your shots, as Yazik's going to go to the bottom and bring Thomas George along with him as Thomas George goes by. Grahula tries to.
Yazik pulls off the move on Drew Carroll, gets around. Yazik now up to second. James Grahula almost has contact back there with Thomas George. There's Tommy Ryan down on the inside. Oh, Ryan gets in really hot. Ryan got in really, really hot there. Almost takes out Grahula, almost takes out George. Wow. George somehow able to hang on.
Oh, and there's the bump and run. My goodness. They're still going. Ryan and George.
That
oh,
might
my
bring
goodness.
Another caution flag. Yeah, they're not going to be happy with each other. No caution flag. Let's keep it up front. Let's keep it busy. We'll get a quick replay.
It collects
of it
Ricky
here.
Harden for the caution as well, as that finally comes out. Ryan's blown up. That started off at the restart, I think, when these two got together a little bit, and it just boiled up right to that.
Yeah.
So Ryan getting the worst of it. Harden bringing out the caution seconds later for spinning down the backstretch. Man.
Well, Harden really, it started with Harden tried to avoid that mess in front of him. When he did, the car got loose. I mean, Harden was just, honestly, there's the 15 down the inside. Here's Cohen coming up on it there. But Harden just really, his car snapped around on him when he tried to slow down. And then the caution finally comes out there. That's really going to shake things up here at the front. As obviously Tommy Ryan and it's Tommy Ryan gonna lose obviously the positions there. Tough break for Thomas George.
Yeah, tough break as well for Tommy Ryan, really. But you can't let the emotions start to boil over here, as it's gotten to the point where the officials have started to step up here, but someone does get an advantage from that.
Yeah, Chris Scala going to get the Coastal Safety Auditor's lucky dog. Good job, Brutus. That might be the last time we have to talk to you this evening, Brutus, because I think next time we get restarted, that'll be the point of no return. So good job by Brutus this evening. We kept him busy. We kept him active. He gets a nice big bone, and, well, he gets to get a little time off here before we see him again. So congratulations to Brutus and his good job this evening. Coastal Safety Auditors, your one-stop shop for fire, life, and safety equipment. We'll come around here on this caution flag with 5 laps left to go. I estimate we'll probably get restarted with 3 to go. And looks like everybody that wanted to pit came down and took care of it. Tommy Ryan, Chris Scala now going back down the pit lane, looking for a little bit of additional help. Thomas George just gets back out.
Yeah, Ryan had stayed out, I think, actually, hoping this would end under caution. But, of course, we still have a bit more time for some green flag racing. So now he's going to have to pull it in, and his day is going to be done. Rick Thompson's day as well is now done. So the war of attrition and the war of energy, it's starting to get to the point where we're finally near the finish in a competitive race, Sean. It's time to start scarfing down some Hardee's and to drink a giant 2-liter bottle of Pepsi, because you got to make sure you're aware of everything around you for this final few laps.
Well, Thomas George is not out of this chance here to win $50. Neither is Ricky Harden. He still has a chance. This race is not over. Not going to have a lot of time left to get it done. Jeff Ward chasing that $50 carrot that's hanging out there. Yazik going to get to restart on the outside. HPP simulation driver looking for some good fortune. You know what? When you talk about the points championship battle, well, in 10th, Jeff Ward going into tonight. Brian Yazik at the lead of the points championship going into this evening. So they were separated by 208 points, I think it was, going into this. Jeff Ward looking to secure another win. He's already got 6. Could it be the magic number 7 tonight? Yazik is going to give him a great fight here from up front. As you look here at the cars getting restarted, obviously not a bunch. It's been a tough evening here at the track. Too tough to tame, too tough to keep cars going too, unfortunately. But man, we're going to get this thing in, and we're going to get to do it with 3 laps remaining when the green flag drops. Here we go into turn 3. Jeff Ward going to lead him down. Don't step away. You want to be here right now, because this is it for all the marbles. Jeff Ward out of turn 1, still got this lead. Drew Carroll with a quick move down to the inside, trying to get to that podium spot.
Yeah, great start from Ward. He is booming right on by. Krahula having a very bad 1 and 2 there. He's dropping right on back to 6th. As Chris Scala is going to fall off the back. It's going to come down to Ward, Yazik, and potentially Drew Carroll here. Sean, look at this. Yazik wanting to get some momentum finally back underway. Ward having that set momentum, 2 to go.
Yes, sir. Jeff Ward holding off Brian Yazik for now. It's not much. It's only about 0.2 of a second. Yazik still has him lined up here. We have a lap and a half to go. We're going to take the white flag this time by for Jeff Ward here in the Patriot Fire Cup 300 from Darlington, South Carolina. Jeff Ward going to go across the line, going to get that white flag. Brian Yazik going to keep chasing, but I don't think it's going to be enough as they get into the middle of turn 1 and 2. They'll come off of 2. Jeff Ward still holding on to the lead. Yazik with a nice run. Oh, spinning back at turn 2. It was Drew Carroll. And he is able to take care of the car just enough to back up to the lead. Jeff Ward. Ward going to come out of turn 4. Chased by Brian Yazik, but it's not going to be enough. Ward, your winner in the Darlington, Carolina Southern 300. You got to love it. Darlington, South Carolina. Brian Yazik, second place. James Krahula able to take advantage of that spin by Drew Carroll. And he finishes on the podium. Ricky Harden there in 4th, and Drew Carroll rounding out the top 5. Look at this replay on the screen. Battle just behind Brian Yazik there. Drew Carroll right up there towards the wall. There's Ricky Harden right behind him. Harden makes a little bit of contact. Drew able to hold on to it. Harden, though, able to get by. So was Krahula. And Krahula, that will get him enough for a podium spot. Oof, yeah. That was a mouthful. That was a long race, and we're going to take a quick break here from the Patriot Fire Southern 300. Congratulations to our winner, Jeff Ward. We'll be back in just a moment here on the Global SimRacing Channel. We are back on the Global Sim Racing channel. You have just witnessed round 27 here in the Premier Racing League Patriot Fire Cup Series. The Patriot Fire Southern 300 is now in the books, and now let's look at how those results wound up. Jeff Ward with another big win. He pulls one down again tonight. Yazik did everything he could, as I said during the race, to stay relevant, to stay at the top of this points championship. Second place finish. James Skrhula with a great run comes home in third tonight. Ricky Harden there in fourth. That's a literal unacceptable racing party there up at the top. Fifth to Drew Carroll. Sixth going to go to Chris Scala for just hanging out and staying in this race. Thomas George with a big seventh place finish. Tommy Ryan eighth. Nick Cohan, don't mess with him, ninth. 10th going to go to Rick Thompson in the number 76.
Just outside that top 10, even with the struggles today, Don Runkle Jr., 16 laps down, comes away 11th. Tyler Dalton comes away 12th. Brody Hayes had his troubles, including when he ran into Runkle. He came away 13th. Tim Johnston, he's going to slip a little bit down the point standings as he finishes 14th today. Devin Cannon, 15th. Woody Mahan in 16th. Jonathan Lawrence in 17th. He had stuck it out for just about the entire race after getting his repairs. RJ Williams, he fell to 18th for the finish of this race. Michael Krobach's engine expired to where he finished 19th in the race. Stephen Herring finished off 20th, 117 laps down, as Justin Rodden finished off in that blackjack spot, 121 laps down. Matt Murphy, 150 laps down. Derek Paulson was sitting in the pits for much of the race in 23rd. 24th, Travis McQuistion. Brett Bucari, 25th. Nicholas Caldwell in 26th. Andrew Jones, 27th after his flips. Rich Jetty, 28th. Gregory McDougall, 29th. Norman Pelletier, 30th.
Okay, well, that's most of the field. Randy Yoakum there, 31st. Adam Littell, hashtag Adam Littell, 32nd. Brian Mellendorf, going to be the last car to finish today, 33rd. DJ Beverly did not run in this race. Now, right now, we've got to talk to the winner, who is going to be $50 heavier in the pocket this evening. Jeff Ward. Well, buddy, it's getting to be old hat for us here in Victory Lane. You do it again. You do it at Darlington. Congratulations, sir.
Thanks, Sean. That's this one's kind of I don't really know how to feel about it. I feel bad because Thomas had a good car, and man, was just racing hard, and I was trying to dig down there on the bottom, and I come up and I just grazed his rear end enough to get him out of shape, and I took him out. And I hate that, man. Thomas, he's not happy, obviously, and he had a car that could have won the race, but I caught him so fast there that I don't blame him for racing hard for it. I mean, you got to do that in that situation, but I was just had more speed there and was trying everything I could, and eventually I made a mistake there and got into him. But it's awesome to come out here and win this thing, man. I had the Days of Thunder there on board, and got the Fast Five, so yeah, I'm pretty pumped, man. That was an awesome night. Had a blast out there. It was a long race.
Yeah, and of course, by nature of finishing in the top five, you're eligible for the next top five, or the next Fast Five when we get to the Rocks. So good stuff. I think James just made the joke that he's going to be paying your mortgage. He's certainly getting close to doing that. Jeff, 7 wins on the season. It gets you up another spot in the points. Buddy, you're now only, 184 points back, so you're picking them up now. Yazik, though, really took care of business tonight with that second place finish. So you do gain ground, but is it enough? I know we've talked about it week after week. If you keep winning, we haven't done the math yet. If you keep winning, do you think you can get there?
No, I'm not going to catch Brian. He's a championship driver, man. That's what he does, and wins races and gets top fives. He'll top five you to death, and there's no way we can get up there. It's like I said before, man. I just want to get a top five, and that would feel like a win to me if we could get a top five in points. But we'll keep digging. You never know. A couple guys might run into trouble, but Brian, he's really consistent, so we'll see what happens.
All right, Jeff. Thanks somebody for another win, and then we'll let you go, and we'll get to the rest of the podium, buddy.
All right, guys. Thanks.
All right. Well, Jeff Ward, again, a winner tonight, 7 times this season. Jeff is the man, and boy, another driver who is the man. It's Brian Yazik. Justin's caught up with him.
Yes, indeed I have, as he came away second after having struggles early on in the race. He brought out the first caution, I believe, actually, getting loose down the front stretch and recovered to make it a second. Brian, how did you do it to recover from that early situation to work your way right up to the top 5?
I passed a lot of cars, Justin. I passed a lot of cars.
I mean other than the absolute obvious.
It's just I've always really liked Darlington. I've always kind of liked how you have to drive the place, and it's always kind of meshed with my driving style and everything like that. So, I was just getting greedy early and got it up towards the edge of the groove, and the rear end of it decided to come around on me, and that wasn't fun. But luckily, people had heads up driving, and no one basically knocked me into North Carolina, so I'm pretty all right with that.
Yeah, you had some luck not getting knocked across the state border, but as well, you did have a lot of incidents going on around you in different parts of the track. How did you try and avoid everything going on with all the action, of course, especially we've seen a lot of it in turns 2 and coming out of turn 4?
You just kind of have to know what's going to happen. Like with when what was that, the 27 and the 54, they got together. I knew that they were going to push up towards the wall, so common sense told me to get low, and I almost didn't get low enough. But I've been doing this an awful long time. I go back to the NASCAR racing 2003 season days, which is basically the base of iRacing if you really think about it. So you do it as long as I have. You figure out stuff, and stuff kind of becomes instinctive. But it's just kind of how we race and how we do these sort of things.
I also want to ask you this because, of course, with Darlington, it's essentially the retro week on the schedule for NASCAR as well as the Patriot Fire Cup Series. I was wondering, what is your paint scheme? Because you have a nice car for today's race to go away in second, especially a nice number font similar to Bobby Hamilton in there in this run. What was your retro scheme today?
The retro scheme, that was actually kind of fun. Because I'm kind of a scholar of the sport, if you will. And this is an old, if you go back, 1994 Lake Speed. It was a Ford Quality Care or Ford Quality Credit scheme. And
I do remember that now, actually. Yeah, I do remember that now, Brian. Yeah, I could never place it myself.
Yeah, we'll not. Next year we won't go so obscure. We'll try to do something a little bit more obvious. But no, I was just kind of stumbling around looking up old photos and stuff like that, and I found that one. I sent that one to Cohan, who pretty much painted every retro car that LPM ran tonight, and shot it off to Mark at HPP, and he approved it. So I just said, you know what, we'll run the old Lake Speed special. So next year, I don't think we're going to do the spam car that Lake Speed ran. We're gonna try and figure something else out. But it was a great run for our HPP simulation. Loud Pedal Motorsports, AMS oiled by Adam Blattel, Ford Fusion.
Hashtag Adam Blattel.
Hashtag Adam Blattel. Another good points night. We grew that lead a little bit over Nick. So that's that's kind of what it all boils down to. But yeah, we got a week off, and then where we go next? We go to Richmond. So that ought to be fun.
Yeah, it should be fun. We'll let you get some rest here as it is 11:48 Eastern Time. Thank you very much for the time, Brian, as Sean has caught up with our third place man.
Justin, really quick, before y'all boot me out of here, condolences to everybody in Houston and everybody that's affected by that. And shout out to my buddy Bryce Whitson. Last week, he was diagnosed with a form of leukemia, and he's fighting that. And some of y'all might know that name might ring a bell for some of them out there. But we so next week we're gonna have a decal on the car for Bryce. So you got this, Bryce. You got this, buddy.
Thank you very much for the time, and thank you for the special words there, of course, with what's going on in both of those situations. But again, Sean is caught up with James Krahula. Sean?
James, you know what? I'll stay on the Bryce Whitson thing. Bryce been around for a long time. He's actually was one of the original founders of basically the PRL, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, 2 years ago, me and Ricky Harden kind of had this idea, and all of a sudden, we kind of talked with Bryce, and he goes, "I got the same idea." And, we worked together, and he didn't officially start with us. He had a great situation pop up for him as well, and so he went over there and started iRock, and so even though that he'd never came and ran our first official season and everything with us, I mean, he was still even to this day has been helpful and very instrumental in getting the entire thing set up. So Bryce, definitely keep fighting, man. We're thinking about you. You gotta. It's great seeing all the love and everything and the support that he's been getting. He absolutely deserves all of it. And yeah, man, just fight like hell. That's you got this. So, but always think of Bryce. We have everything going on down in our state, Sean, and
Yeah.
and I haven't gotten to talk to you guys since Patrick's passing, and Patrick Taylor. We're thinking about you also. I hate to see you gone, and you know what? It's move on to a bright subject. I know Tommy Ryan is picking me up from the airport tomorrow morning in Charlotte, North Carolina. Paul Pepper, Mark Allen, and Jody Green. All these guys are sitting down there. Rick Thompson's sitting there. Jonathan Goodell will be down there. We're all going to go have some fun in Darlington and enjoy a fun night and come back here and get back to work on next weekend, going down to Houston and helping with the volunteering and cleanup and just whatever those guys need.
Yeah, and listen, James, sorry to say it, but at this point I won't be at Darlington this weekend, so I won't be joining you boys. But
I can't believe that,
yeah,
Sean.
I'm sorry. Maybe
I
next
should have
year.
bugged you a couple more times.
Yeah. Buddy, congratulations on a podium finish tonight. That was a bit of a rough one out there at Darlington this evening, but you prevailed. You brought her home in third, and boy, that's going to be a really great points night for you, my friend.
Yeah, I think we moved up to fifth, and it just goes to show, having not only respect for the track, which you have to have, but having respect for your fellow competitors. Those are the people that are making it to the end of these races and everything like that. And I think that's been very prominent here, especially the last few weeks. And so, we're paying attention to the reason that we're having, less than 10 people falling on completing they're on the lead lap, and we're going to make sure that we do what's right for the league, and we're a great league, and we don't need to have these bad attitudes, and so not only are these guys not getting good finishes and everything, but we're going to make sure that we're doing what's best for the people that do want to race with respect, and I won't get too preachy here and everything, but you come home with third place finishes and everything when you respect the track, respect your fellow drivers, and you stay out of trouble.
James, I think that was very well said. What do you say we wrap up and all go on over and watch the end of the Lionheart Retro Race? What do you think?
Yeah, go watch those guys. I would think we were at halfway when they started tonight. So
yeah,
this is definitely our longest race, and also congrats to Jeff Ward as well. He's cleaning me out and everything this year. But congrats to him. I'll be sending him $50, and I just want to let him know that's coming directly out of my beer fund for this weekend. So, I hope he feels bad for that.
James, brother, travel safe this weekend, buddy. Great to talk to you. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
See you guys.
All right, and that was James Krahula, of course, the one of the grand poobahs there at the Premier Racing League, but we want to thank him. Justin, want to thank you for this evening. Now listen, come see us again with the Premier Racing League on September 10th at 9:05 p.m. Yes, we're taking a little bit of time, off here for one Labor Day weekend, and just because the guys appear early to break, man, it's a long season. So September 10th, 9:05 p.m. we'll return with the Premier Racing League American Pool Supply Truck Series. We'll make a return to action from South Boston Speedway, Old Sobo, one of my favorites there in South Boston, Virginia. We would like to thank the drivers and organizers of the Premier Racing League for coming here tonight and putting on a tremendous show. Talking about tremendous shows, go on over, catch Adam Young and Tanner Sharp right now as they are calling the Lionheart Retro Series race. That's the Lotus 79 currently, and man, they've got a big one going at Iowa Speedway. It looks like they got about 37 laps to go, so go on and get over there. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. Additional thanks to Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde, who provide all of this wonderful music you hear every broadcast. See the screen, proud to get a hold of more of their great work. Thanks to the team today, Justin, Amjad, and yes, Dougie Beard. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com, or you can check out our social media on Twitter at GSR Channel, or find us on Facebook. Just type in Global Sim Racing Channel, all one word, you'll find us there. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen. So, check those out and mark them down on your calendar. But until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.